Right. You're live.
Yes, we are. Hello, is anybody out there? All right, now let me see if there's a link on YouTube. Aha, there it is.
So weird.
Yeah. So now I'm going to post it in the cantina. I texted you. We're not ready for dessert yet.
He texted me. I said, yes. He goes, dessert yet.
Oh, is that what I said?
So I'm like,
we had a whole
did
bunch
you
going.
mean no dessert yet or dessert yes?
No, not.
So I say, I don't know what that means. I see red, and then he ignores me. I'm like, I'm trying as hard as I can.
I was showing Dave the video of the pug on TikTok.
Oh my God, that
I love that thing.
I sent it to Kathy.
I should have made you watch it after we went live, but I wasn't thinking.
We could play it live too. That's.
We've already got a couple of people in the chat, so this is the sound check portion.
Yeah, you're not late.
Yeah, we're early, is what it is.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That is Kristen drinking some of my Takamaka rum. Takamaka. And I'm drinking it with some Coke Zero.
You schmucks out there. Fucking Coke Zero.
Hello. We got so many people. All right, just let us know how we sound, and then we'll get rolling. It's gonna be a good episode. Yeah. I tell you what, I listened back to last week's episode. Yeah, that was some gold, man. We had some really good back and forth last week. Even if you don't like Metroid, go back and listen to last week's episode because that was a pretty entertaining show, and I was there, and I was still entertained listening to it back.
I haven't had a chance to listen to it again.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
All right. Sound is good.
Nice.
All right. We're ready to get rolling then?
Yeah, let me go ahead and pee.
Oh, yeah. I forgot I told him he could pee before we started. I'll just go halfway through the pod like I always do.
Well, I don't think I'd make it halfway through.
Fair enough. Because we're out of hibernation and it's springtime, like everybody's hustling and bustling outside. So I think Dave's a little hesitant a little gun shy to pee. Is all my neighbors are out and about, and it's good. We'll see how this goes. So what's going on, Need Machines? How you guys doing tonight? Tom, how's your grandmother? No, father, right? How's your grandfather doing? I think Dave's out there somewhere. Or maybe he's over there somewhere. I don't know. Grandpa and aunt are same.
Who now? What now?
Apparently Tom's grandpa is also his aunt.
No. I think they mean...
Oh, their conditions are the same.
Health-wise.
Okay, well, I hope they're doing well.
Jesus. Empty bladder. See if this is ready yet.
You're good?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Let's roll it. I feel like, I don't know, does this occasion deserve a toast or not? Because we're at the 1 year anniversary of the COVID lockdowns. And I don't know. I mean, we're drinking.
Yeah,
is it worthy of a toast?
I think we could toast it to the 1 year anniversary of the shit show.
Yeah. At least it's warm.
It is warm. Oh, fucking thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. Oh, good. I'm glad David Schmuck converted over to the YouTube.
Yes. So anyway, hello everyone, and welcome to From a Gen X Point of View. We are continuing the month of M on this episode. This is episode 28. And what are we talking about today, David?
David. Wow.
Or should I say Davey?
Oof. No, don't say Davey.
Okay.
That is reserved for only certain members of my family. We're talking about the Money Pit.
Yeah.
So it is the 35th anniversary of its 1986 release, and it begins with M. And
it seemed fitting.
It seemed
fitting because, as I wrote in the intro, you know, Gen X, a majority of Gen Xers are homeowners now.
Yeah.
And we're the second largest homeowner group behind the boomers, obviously. But yeah, we own more homes than the millennials for sure. So suck it. And
I don't know. Is that necessarily a good thing? Like,
well, I mean, in the overall grand scheme of things, in the overall picture, no, it's probably not a good thing. But I mean, whatever. It still means that we're better. So that's really the most important thing.
I agree. We are, in fact, better.
Yeah.
So that is the important thing.
Yes. And home ownership, it comes with its trials and tribulations. And I think that's a little bit exaggerated in this movie, The Money Pit, but it all kind of interrelates. So we're going to talk about that as we get going. So before we do that, we have a new segment on the show that we've been talking about for the last few weeks. And that is called This or That. It's where our social media director puts up polls where it's basically two options. And it's a series of two different options. You pick one and that's it. And what we do is we go over the results here on the show and we talk about it a little bit. And we had some good ones because this is a movie themed week. So first, This or That, Beetlejuice versus Ghostbusters.
This is a tough one.
It is. It's a really tough one. Because
both movies have very specific places in my heart, you know. I went with Ghostbusters,
as did I.
Yeah, and it was tough. It really was, because Beetlejuice had so many like memorable moments and so many just laugh out loud things.
Yeah,
but Ghostbusters is just
iconic. A classic. Iconic is the better word. It's iconic.
It was the beginning of like even a successful, like, I remember watching the Ghostbusters cartoons,
right?
You know, when it was out. So to me, Ghostbusters was an easy one.
Yeah. Though again, not to take anything away from Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nice. Good.
It's all the rum. Tim Burton at his just peak. Great work. The Danny Elfman soundtrack. Michael Keaton is Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Fucking killed it. And to be fair, Beetlejuice actually won the poll, 53% to 47%. So
look, that was a tough one. That was. It was. You had to choose though, and I chose Ghostbusters.
Yeah, the next one I thought was blasphemy. It was Weekend at Bernie's versus The Great Outdoors, which, I mean, to me, Weekend at Bernie's is a far better movie.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I never got into the Weekend at Bernie's franchise.
Well, it only had two movies, and the second one sucked. But the first movie was fantastic. I love that movie.
Yeah, it was a fun, plucky movie, but The Great Outdoors is The Great Outdoors is in that like group of movies that came out, like Funny Farm. You know, you had the John Candy playing in these comedic roles.
Yeah,
like Uncle Buck, Funny Farm, The Great Outdoors. Like you get this trifecta, or however many movies it is. But to me, it's kind of the same. Like they all laugh from the same spot. If that's a real thing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and plus I've seen A Great Outdoors more than I've seen Weekend at Bernie's.
See, that is 100% opposite for me, because Weekend at Bernie's was one of those few VHSs that we owned where I can remember there was a summer where me and my brother watched Weekend at Bernie's pretty much every day over the course of a summer when I was in high school. Oh, it was great.
But saying that, Weekend at Bernie's has a lot of staying power as far as that, the idea of the the person, the dead person that is like taking place of somebody.
Right. Well, yeah, because now memes have taken over, and Weekend at Bernie's has plenty of memes, mostly involving Hillary Clinton, which is hilarious. But anyway, The Great Outdoors actually won 53% to 47%. So close, just like the last one. But yeah, I was in the minority for both so far. The next one was, I'm shocked at the results for this one, was The Naked Gun versus Police Academy. Police Academy won pretty handily. 68% to 32%. I picked Police Academy.
I picked Naked Gun.
Huh. Interesting. Because I just kind of assumed The Naked Gun would pick up with the airplane crowd and everybody. Like, I wasn't sure how many people really were familiar with Police Academy. I fucking loved the movie.
Oh, God.
Back in the day.
That was... That one was harder actually for me than the Beetlejuice Ghostbusters one.
Really?
Because I just recently watched The Naked Gun, and a lot of those jokes like still hit. You know, as campy as it was, and just like this kind of making fun of the genre, the whole dragnet thing with catching.
I know, sorry.
Not the Rona. Yeah, a lot of the things that must kill the queen, like it just there's so many good things, but the Police Academy gave us, Michael Winslow with all the the sound effects and the Blue Oyster, and there's all of these iconic things in the Police Academy too, and obviously that kicked off a fucking
there were like 9 Police Academy movies or something by the end. I think I saw the first 3, and that was enough.
Commandant Lassard. I mean, I'm seen the movies enough where I could recite them pretty well, but both of those, it was tough.
Yep. Now, I knew I was going to be in the minority of this next one. It was Adventures in Babysitting versus Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Everybody loves Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from that. But I had an affinity for Adventures in Babysitting back in the day, mostly because I had a massive crush on Elizabeth Shue throughout a good portion of my childhood. Started with The Karate Kid and continued on through this and some other stuff that she did. So,
do you know what I remember about the Adventures in Babysitting? Elizabeth Shue. That's it. I couldn't tell you anything else about the movie. Couldn't tell you who else was in it for the same reasons. I mean, it's like, in that age bracket, we're like, oh wow, she's really cute, and that's what they played on. But Ferris Bueller's Day Off is the tits.
Oh yeah, and
it is one of the all-time best movies.
Yeah, and if you talk about, you'll see people say, "Oh, like Gen Xers, what's some of the best movies of our lifetimes?" Movies like The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off are always at the very top of that. So I understand, and again, I don't dislike the movie at all, but
spoiler alert, there will be a Ferris Bueller's Day Off episode coming in the near future,
because that's this year, is it celebrating an anniversary. So
in June.
And again, Ferris Bueller won pretty handily, 81% to 19%.
As it should.
Yep. All right, I'm going to get some heat for this next one.
Oh boy.
Airplane versus Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay.
I picked Airplane, as I assume most people would, and it got a pretty large percentage of the vote.
Yep. I'm an Airplane guy.
Yep. So here's the deal. Never seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Not even once?
I've seen the part where she takes off her top and everything,
right?
Like, over and over again. But besides that, no, never seen it.
Yeah, it's those two movies, like, it's not even close.
Right.
Like, Airplane is so much funnier. Like, and that's what it is. It's like, it's a straight comedy, especially with aviation backgrounds. Like, watching it more recently, even though like there's such little nuances with the aviation community that I think are fucking hilarious, and it hits every single time. I didn't even have to think about this one. This was like, oh yeah.
Well, the hate in the chat has already started, as I expected. But yeah, Airplane won 71% to 29%. This one was an easy pick for me. Coming to America versus Beverly Hills Cop. Loved Coming to America. Haven't watched the sequel yet, even though we have Amazon Prime.
Yeah, neither have I.
And Beverly Hills Cop was fine, decent movie, but I mean, I saw Coming to America in theaters.
Oh wow!
I think me and my mom and maybe one of my siblings went or something like that. God, I gotta ask my mom about that. But yeah, saw Coming to America in theaters. Fucking loved it then. I think we ended up getting it on VHS. Still loved it. Fantastic movie.
It is a great movie.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop, like, so the Eddie Murphy at his best, right? Yeah, we're talking these two movies.
Yeah.
And Beverly Hills Cop, we had on VHS. So I was able to watch it over and over and over again.
Nice.
And it like I just even as I'm thinking about it, I'm listening. I'm imagining the opening music, like when they're chasing the tractor trailer through downtown Detroit and doing all that thing. Like it was just one of those movies where it was kind of like it was close to that R rating where I probably shouldn't have been watching it.
Yeah.
But was able to watch it, so I watched it a lot.
Yeah.
It is.
The thing that really struck me more than anything about Beverly Hills Cop was the soundtrack. Right, the Glenn Fry's "The Heat Is On," fucking the Axel, the theme, the do 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 do, you know. So
not gonna fall for a banana in a tailpipe,
right? But yeah, Coming to America, 71% to 29%.
Yeah, and I can dig it, but Beverly Hills Cop. We got to do an Eddie Murphy. We got to talk about Eddie Murphy.
Oh, of course, yeah, the dude's great. Here's an interesting one. I was in the minority for this one: Revenge of the Nerds versus Weird Science.
Right.
I picked Weird Science. Because I fucking, again, another movie I had such a love for back in the day. This was my best friend Rob, who I've talked about before growing up. He had this on a Betamax tape. Like they recorded it off of HBO or whatever. And he and I would watch it all the fucking time because we love this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Completely preposterous, especially if you try to watch it now and the whole concept and everything. But we fucking loved it back in the day.
Yeah. It seemed when I saw it as a kid, I haven't seen it recently. I can't say I saw it in a
I probably haven't seen it in well over 10 years, probably longer.
Yeah, at least I don't think I may have been a teenager last time I saw it. Maybe.
Yeah.
But it's like this campy way, and it's like nerdy kids because I was a nerdy kid, right? You know, like a lot of the people out there listening probably are. You know, we're nerdy kids, and this idea of like manufacturing this hot ass woman that the only one who would talk to you anyway. It stuck to me. So yeah, Weird Science was my pick as well.
Yep. And Revenge of the Nerds was a real quotable movie, but not very high on my list.
Yeah. I mean, again, it comes down to like how much did we watch those movies? Exactly. Again, they are staples. Like Revenge of the Nerds is one of those movies of the time. It was like you said, a lot of quotables, but it just wasn't one of my staples.
We've got Bush. So the next one, like this was a no-brainer. History of the World Part 2, Mel Brooks versus Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
Yeah, that's. I don't even know who the 18% are that picked History of the World Part 2 or Part 1. Nothing wrong with that movie, but Spaceballs by far and away is a better movie.
There'd be a lot of movies like if we were doing a this or that just against Spaceballs, you'd have to get pretty high before I don't pick Spaceballs.
Right.
Spaceballs in my household growing up, talking about movies that we probably shouldn't have been watching, but we're watching anyway. The movies that when I was babysitting my sisters got played over and over and over again. Spaceballs was it. And Kathy religiously watched Spaceballs as well. So like some of the few movies that Kathy and I have the same like connection to is Spaceballs.
That's great.
And we're going to get to a movie here in a minute too, is one of our other ones. But yeah, I know every fucking word of that movie. Every word of it. It's Mel Brooks at his for late in his career, right? Because you got to figure like Blazing Saddles, History of the World, all that stuff.
Like I still think Young Frankenstein is his best movie, but I digress.
Yeah, from a movie perspective, you're probably right, but from a just pure satisfaction and enjoyment, Spaceballs is the tits.
Oh sure, yeah. And especially as Star Wars guys, we can appreciate where he was coming from. I mean, the knock on the merchandising alone, fucking just spot on. Well done, Mel.
And you could watch it today. You could watch it right now, and it'd be you're not going to lose it. You're not going to be lost. It's not going to be lost on you because whereas History of the World seems dated when you're watching it.
Yep. All right, the next one. Boy, I wonder what Dave picked on this one. Caddyshack versus The Three Amigos.
So interesting story. So The Three Amigos is the other movie that Kathy and I
really
have a connection to. Yeah, it's a movie she watched a lot. In my house, talking about the funny farm and great outdoors stuff like that. Like Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, and Martin Short in a movie. Like it is a great fucking movie.
Yeah,
it is a great movie. I picked Caddyshack.
Of course.
But mainly because, obviously the golf connection, right? But Caddyshack is one of the most quotable movies of the 20th century.
It's
honestly,
the first thing I remember seeing Bill Murray in ever.
Yeah.
So,
and it's just. I would rather have not had to choose between that, like the Three Amigos and that, because Kathy and I love the Three Amigos. It's just something we connected with, but Caddyshack.
Yeah. And same with me. In fact, the Three Amigos was one of the first VHS tapes that I owned myself, because I don't know if I told this story, but my father owned a video store when I was younger. And so he was able to get me videotapes that, normally, because of the way they did rentals and everything, would cost like $80 for somebody to just buy them on the street. But he was able to get me some because he was a store and got distributors and whatnot. So for my birthday one year, he got me like the Three Amigos, and I'm trying to remember what the other tape was. But I had this little small VHS player in my room, and I fucking watched the Three Amigos over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And God, I fucking love that movie so much. I could probably quote goddamn near every line from that movie.
Yeah, same. Same. Caddyshack had tits.
Yes, it did. That is true. Three Amigos was still funny though. But
yes,
Caddyshack won 70% to 30% for the Three Amigos.
Yeah, I mean these are all really good movies. These are not easy choices.
Yeah, and then the last one that we have is, I'm curious as to why these two were paired together, but Ernest Goes to Camp versus The Goonies. Which, I mean, The Goonies won hands down.
Did anybody even vote for it?
10% voted for Ernest. And again, I'm pretty sure I saw that in theaters too. Ernest Goes to Camp. If not, then like as soon as it came out,
was that the first one?
VHS? Yeah, that was the first Ernest movie. Because then there was like Ernest Saves Christmas. No, I saw Ernest
Goes to Jail.
Yeah, I saw Ernest Saves Christmas in theaters. I think I saw Ernest Goes to Camp on VHS.
Okay,
I think I saw that with my cousin Jeff actually for the first time.
Yeah, I can't remember how I saw it. It was one of those that it would pop on.
And see it. But The Goonies, again, you talk about iconic Gen X movies. The Goonies, man, that's right up there too.
Yeah,
great shit. Hey, you guys. So thank you to Luna Girl, our social media director. Another fantastic week of this or that. Hopefully that was mildly entertaining.
Mildly.
Yeah. So that being said, we ready to move into our weeks?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. For me, I mentioned last week that I was working this last weekend, and I did. So I didn't do a whole lot else. My days were, pretty much gym, work, fucking home for 5 minutes, sleep, repeat.
All right.
So I didn't do a whole lot, but two things. First of all, Kristen picked up something at a thrift store that is going to be relevant for the show.
I love the thrift store stuff.
Yes, which we haven't actually had in quite a while.
I know.
But this ties in perfectly with things that we've done in the past, and it might go pretty well with something that we already have.
Oh, boy.
And it is...
Nice.
Trivial Pursuit,
the 90s
edition. We've already got the 80s edition here in the studio.
Oh, man.
So now we've got the 90s edition of Trivial Pursuit.
I'm willing to bet that we will do far better at the 90s edition than we were doing. I think for one of the shows we did the 80s edition, and it was hard.
It was rough. All right, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions from a card.
All right.
I'm just picking one at random. What the fuck am I looking at?
Is it in English?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. Who was blasted by the tabloids for flashing hairy armpits at the premiere of Notting Hill?
Oh, Notting Hill. Who was relevant at the time?
Now think about the main actress from the movie Notting Hill.
I'm trying. Julia Roberts.
Yes. All right. Now this one's too easy. What animated sports romp was the first movie to be simultaneously released on both DVD and VHS?
Space Jam?
Yeah. Animated sports romp.
Yeah.
Pretty much narrows it down. All right. What updated Disney classic was the first animated feature to appear on giant IMAX screens? I know this one because I went and saw it when it was in its theatrical run. What updated Disney classic?
Fantasia.
Yes. Specifically Fantasia 2000.
I saw that, actually.
Yeah. Kristen and I went and saw it. We saw it in Valencia, California.
I have a thing for Fantasia. Yeah. As my sorcerer apprentice Mickey would attest to.
So stay tuned for a future episode where we'll probably be an entire 90s Trivial Pursuit episode.
Yeah.
So good stuff there. The only last thing that I had, speaking to Kristen, she reads a lot of books, and lately she's been listening to a lot of audiobooks, and she'll listen to like a wide range of shit. You know, she'll listen to the stupid romance stuff, or she'll read like real books. And recently she was doing a real book. It was an Agatha Christie book.
Okay.
Which I think it was called And Then There Were None. Or maybe it was like the 10 Little Indians is what it was called, but you know, anyway, the adaptation of it was changed, you know, culturally acceptable names and whatnot. But anyway, she's listening to this audiobook and she's like telling me about it, especially she's getting towards the end. She's like, this is like the best fucking book I've ever heard, you know? And this is again, Agatha Christie, old book from like the 40s.
Right.
And she's like telling me how good it is and how she was like anxious to get to the end and everything. And finally she got to the end and it was like the payoff that she expected. She said everything about it was perfect. Even the ending, it resolved everything really well. And come to find out that there have been movie adaptations of this.
Okay.
So the most recent one was in 2015. They did like a series. I think it was like 3-hour-long series or something like that.
Okay.
And then it was split up. I think she bought them on Amazon into 2 hour-and-a-half segments.
Okay.
And we watched them over the last week. She's like, you got to watch this. So we did. And yeah, it was pretty damn good. So
what's the name of it?
And Then There Were None.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically, yeah, if you're interested, don't look up any spoilers because it's basically a murder mystery.
Right.
And it was actually really well done.
She's there's a reason that she's as popular as she is even today. I looked at I happened to bring up agathachristie.com and I'm scrolling through some of the titles and I saw Peril at End House, right? But because I was just kind of looking at you and kind of looking at it, I thought it said Penis at End House. So I'm like, well.
So when Dave looks at me, Dave thinks of penis.
Apparently. It must do something with your shaved head.
Oh, come on. So anyway, we watched that and it was fantastic. So if you're in the mood for, you know, some type of murder mystery movie or book, if you're a reader, then go ahead and either find the movie or listen to the book, the audiobook, or read the paper book. Because I would imagine, being an Agatha Christie book, you can probably find a paper copy.
Probably go into most thrift stores and probably find copies.
What are you doing?
That needs Halo Reach. Just ignore me.
He owns that game. It's not in here.
That's what he says.
Ugh, my God, my son's trying to pillage my Xbox collection. Anyway, yeah, so that was my week.
Nice.
What about you, Dave?
I'm still trying to.
Oh, he's still going through at agathachristie.com.
She wrote a lot of fucking books. All right, I'm gonna give.
Well, and apparently this was one of her best too. So
fair enough. You know, you're talking about like reading real books, you know, as opposed to the fake books. I was gonna say this to the end, but I think I talked about on the show where I was reading or listening to the Pale Blue Dot, the Carl Sagan audiobook.
Yeah,
which started out with Carl Sagan doing a narration and then finished with his wife. So I was struggling because his wife's reading delivery was kind of raspy and kind of like this, really slow, and it's kind of. I'm sure she's a terribly nice person. I'm sure she's incredibly intelligent because she's also a doctor in astrophysics and all the other shit, right? Should not be reading books. So I had to eject. I just couldn't fucking take it anymore. But I really wanted to finish the book because I was in between like the Joe Bishop books I was talking about last week with the stuff. So I'm like, I got to finish this. I got to just finish it. That way I can say I finished it. So I played it at 1.5 times speed and it was almost normal. Like, nice. It picked up the cadence to the point where I was like, oh, okay, this isn't the worst ever. At 1.5 times speed. Imagine how slow you would have to talk to sound like at a normal speech pattern. It just, I can't duplicate it. It was god awful. But yeah, so I finished that. And honestly, like, you want to start dabbling in like more astronomy and cosmology, not cosmetology, cosmology.
I was interested in cosmetology too.
I'm sure you were. as the only person that has been waxed in this room.
That's fair, and we're not the only two people in this room right now. Yes,
anyway,
I know, she's very distracting.
Anyway, so I just noticed I could see her in the camera.
Sorry.
So yeah, I finished it.
Okay.
Right. I highly recommend Pale Blue Dot. It's great.
Good.
Then I was like, you know what? I kind of wanted to stay on that same ilk, and I bought with one of my Audible credits Neil deGrasse Tyson's book. It's called Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. And it's actually it's an interesting overview on some of the greatest hits, right? He talks about Einstein's theory of relativity and all this other stuff. And it's Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So he would be one of those college professors that you would love to have because everything he's doing is going to be interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was only, I think, a 3-hour audiobook. So it was a quick listen, but it was entertaining. It was informative. Like if you can hang for a little bit with some of the more, upper level type science kind of nerding.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was entertaining and it went quick.
Excellent.
But it made me, I had this entire, it made me think about space-time a lot more. Like the layers of the way that this multiverse theory would be, and waves, how gravity waves could be. Anyway, I don't even want to start getting into this discussion because I'll talk about it for a while.
You might lose some people. I might have a stroke right here on the show.
You might, but yeah, it was just really interesting. I highly recommend both of those books, Pale Blue Dot, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry.
Okay.
Especially the astrophysics one, because Neil deGrasse Tyson does the read and it's hilarious.
The game is not in here.
I'm beginning to realize that.
Apologies for the distraction. And now she's farting in the room. Come on, would you please just... I don't know why she's doing this.
I hope you all can hear Jason. He did have a lot of the sausage dip. Did it not work through the walls?
It doesn't. We tested the range for days, Rob and I.
What? I have no idea what's going on right now.
Well, the fact that you're sitting on a fart machine.
I'm sitting on one?
And then she has the remote for it.
I kind of figured.
Yeah, she has to be co-located with it because it wouldn't go through the walls.
That's good. I'm glad. I hope the bit was worth it. So you didn't actually come in here for a game. Is that what? Oh my God.
I just needed to wait till Dave was done talking. So.
Well, you came in at the wrong time. The absolute wrong time. So.
Oh, it was great.
All right. Is that all for your week? Do you have more?
I got to the first line.
Okay.
Sorry. Anyway, we're talking about books. Mars this week. The
MARS. Mars, bitches.
Yeah. No, that's after Red Rock. Anyway, they dropped the cover on the Ingenuity. So we're looking in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, to get that first flight. And then a lot will happen, because I think they have 5 program flights.
Yeah, that
are all going to happen within 30 days. So once it starts flying, we're going to get a lot of it. So keep your eye on that. Do you have Alexa?
Yeah, we do actually. We got a couple in the house actually.
So do you have any of your lights and shit hooked up to it?
No,
dude. No. I have in the office area, in my family room.
Mm-hmm.
Every possible lighting fixture has a smart bulb in it.
Really?
So when I go in and I'll say, and I call Alexa computer, right?
Uh-huh.
So when I walk into the room, I'll say computer illuminate,
and
then it'll bring the lights on, right? And if I say computer work mode, it'll go, white light over my desk because that's better for like reading.
Mhm.
And it'll make the other lights just a little bit dimmer with yellow light, and it'll start playing Turbo from Sirius XM. Like all this shit will happen as soon as I say work mode. I've been putzing around with it for weeks, and it's just I've finally got it to the point where I think I have all of my like settings just where I want it to. Like if I'm in there cleaning or something, I'll say full bright, and it'll be like the brightest possible light in there.
Right.
It's fucking great. I highly recommend. I mean, listen, it was kind of anti Alexa and all this other shit when we were still back in the unit and all that stuff. I don't have to worry about any of that shit anymore. So I'm like, fuck. If Alexa is going to entertain me by allowing me to fucking have my lights configured the way I want it and all this other shit, then fucking do it. You create a routine. Create a routine that says, Alexa, play from a Gen X point of view, or play Jason and Dave, and it'll play the podcast.
Sweet.
It can do that.
That is pretty awesome.
I highly recommend doing that.
I know a lot of people are very anti that just because everything's listening to us.
Yeah, everything. Look,
but if you have a cell phone, then you're already on the grid.
Yes,
it's
whether you think you are or not.
Yeah,
trust us. That's Scott talking about like Demolition Man. Exactly.
Yeah,
Illuminate.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
or Back to the Future Part 2, where they go to the future.
Yeah. I was using Illuminate specifically as the Demolition Man one though.
Right.
But the one you said is good too.
Yeah.
And then Bronco Fett brought up the bracket stuff, right? It's March Madness.
It's March, so
it's March Madness. It's a college basketball thing. Again, Jason's alleged fan boy team is one of the top ranked teams to potentially win the tournament.
Sure.
I look, I don't want you to have any like this level of connection you have with it right now. If fucking Michigan wins and you decide you're going to crow about it, I'm going to shove that bottle up your ass because anyway. But March Madness is huge. A lot of people have a lot of money invested in in their brackets and everything else, and like because of Ohio State, like best meme I saw. Ohio State loses, right? They lose in the first round. Okay. And they were like I think they were third, like in their bracket, like as far as seeding. Sure. And so they lost to like a fucking 16 seed or something ridiculous, 15 seed I think it was. Nice. So they lose, right? A meme goes out that said they lost to a team from Oral Roberts University, right?
Oh, okay.
So
that's what Bronco
Fett's talking about. Okay. And so the memes that came out that were talking about how Oral Roberts University has more wins against Ohio State than Jim Harbaugh does.
Oof.
That was my fucking favorite thing I've ever seen on the internet. It was fucking great. And I'm so glad that Michigan fucking signed him on for longer.
Yeah.
So he can continue to have that amazing fucking losing streak. Fuck Michigan. Anyway, and fuck Ohio State. But my team Villanova is still in it.
Good.
I picked against I know Bronco Fett is very anti BYU, so and I'm quite frankly, like when I picked the brackets, there's a little bit of homerism in there because I'm a Villanova fan, but I'm a realist like with anything. So yeah, I picked against BYU because I didn't think they'd win, and they didn't. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
In the squadron, my bracket right now is I'm in second out of the squadron. So
good.
It's good stuff. There's a lot of people that are interested in this, Jason.
I am not one of them.
He is not one of them.
Yeah. If you couldn't tell.
But yeah, that's it. That's all I have for the week.
All right. Sweet. Well, I think we're going to take a break right here because I need to use the bathroom. We need to get some more ice. And I think I'm going to call for my ice delivery service. And
I'm trying to figure out why you brought a cooler in, but didn't fill it with ice.
There's some ice in there, but I'm not going to use that ice in my glass.
Why not?
I want fresh ice, not ice that's been like rolling around in there with the outside of a 2-liter bottle that I picked up at 7-Eleven. You don't know what kind of shit's on the outside of that bottle. People could have been rubbing their asses on it. And then it touches the ice, and then the ice goes right into my glass? No.
Okay.
Am I being unreasonable here?
Yes, but that's to be expected.
All right. So anyway, we're going to take a very quick break and be right back with some Money Pit after this word from our sponsors.
Yes, we'll talk fantasy hockey in the post show. Did I look at hockey today? I don't know if I did. Yeah, so Jason's interest in the tournament notwithstanding. Yeah, there was the Oral Roberts upset was obviously huge. Rutgers, upset to get itself advanced into the tournament, and they haven't been in a tournament in a long time. Penn State was on the outside looking in as far as teams go, but there's a lot of teams in the Big Ten that are in the tournament this year, and you know what? That's good for them. It's good for the Big Ten, good for recruiting. But Villanova is my team, and they have been since prior to my birth, since my father went there in the mid 70s. But yeah, I don't think they have a chance to go very far in the tournament this year. I think they're going to run into Baylor, and I have Baylor picked.
There's so many people out and walking around and everything. I'm taking a piss on the side of the house, and it's like somebody's right behind me,
right?
Walking. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, it's very. I don't know. We have to do something. We need that bush to grow thick again.
Yeah.
We're in that weird in between spot with the warm weather.
Mm-hmm. I think we got some ice coming.
Awesome. Yeah, BYU losing. I'm glad I picked well on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I used the pork cup this time.
What's inside? What the fuck? Are those babies?
There are naked babies in the ice.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I'm just going to deliver naked babies in the ice in the pork cup. It looks like something out of the Matrix.
I'm thinking what are these, a bunch of aborted fetuses?
Oh my God. Here you are concerned, no, this has been rolling around on the outside of this bottle, yet we are going to put naked babies into our friggin'. Oh my God.
Well, thank you.
I'm sure the naked babies were sanitized prior to. Look at their little butts on the surface. Look at it. The ice delivery, the things we miss when your wife's at work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God,
I feel like she probably thought that she had to go all out this time because she doesn't get to.
I guess so.
Do this very often anymore.
Yeah. As you're pouring Coke Zero.
Coke Zero. I mean, it's the best no calorie Coke, right?
But apparently it's dirty on the outside. Speaking of dirty on the outside, I was at Home Depot. We're doing some house stuff.
Okay.
I reached into this container where we're getting hardware to replace a hand railing. I reach into this container. I pull out this bag, and I'm like, "Who's that? That's weird ink on there, right?" There's blood all over the fucking bags that were in there. Because fucking bunch of dudes with their dick beaters or have their hands cut or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or the fucking schmuck when he opened the package maybe cut himself.
Oh, yeah.
So half the ones in there had fucking blood on it. But and of course you would think that I would go tell somebody about it. I didn't. Because what are they going to do? I'm going to go to the counter and be like, "Hey, there's blood all over this item." Okay.
Yeah.
And then they're not going to do a fucking thing about it.
You're right.
So I required less humans to interact with. I can't believe there's fucking
there's baby fetuses in our fucking ice.
Craziness. Take a picture of this for posterity.
All right, are we ready to get into this?
Yeah. Let me take this picture of the naked ice babies.
All right. Oh, actually, I'm gonna get the Money Pit trivia stuff up.
You knew something was up as soon as I looked in there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like, oh God, what did she do? All right. We ready?
See what Bronco Fit posted?
I did not.
Apparently some jack off with Jersey plates, or jackass with Jersey plates driving horribly
Mm.
in Idaho.
I mean, that's pretty much standard for. Oh God, I wonder if it's Kristen's sister.
I think that's what he's alluding to.
Yeah, could be.
No, the babies are in the ice, Luna Girl. They're in the ice. They're frozen in the ice.
Yeah, like it's literally like we're looking at some test tube babies kind of thing.
I'm gonna post on Instagram. But yeah, see,
That's good. That's a great shot.
in the ice, little naked baby butt.
Oh my God. All right.
Let's do it.
All right. So I'll give a countdown and then we'll roll back into it. And we're back. So, The Money Pit. What a movie.
Oh, so we're watching that clip for the lead in,
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't hear like the fucking the maestro.
Yeah, Alexander Dodonov.
It was he also Vigo the Carpathian from Ghostbusters too?
No. That was a different guy.
Different guy.
We're going to actually talk about him because he was one of the bad guys from the original Die Hard. He was
Yes.
one of the Amish guys in Witness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I've learned some interesting facts about him that we're going to talk about as we get rolling here. But yeah,
very good. Yeah, as like when I saw it, immediately I thought about Vigo the Carpathian,
Mhm.
and it felt like there was facial differences. But,
similar look, especially with the gold
yeah,
flowing
with the
locks.
going hair, the
Yeah.
fucking what was the romance novel dude? Fabio.
Oh, Fabio. I'm Fabio.
The Fabio look.
I can't believe it's not Bada. So, yeah, Money Pit was released March 26th, 1986. So, in 4 days from this recording, it'll hit its 35th anniversary, which fucking blows my mind because I remember when this movie was new.
Yeah.
You know, I remember those days, and to think that that was 35 fucking years ago, and to think 35 fucking years from right now, there's a good chance we'll be fucking dead. Which,
well, that's a fucking wholesome and fun thought.
but I mean these are the kinds of things that come into my head when we hit anniversaries like this.
Yeah, this is true.
For things that were so fucking long ago, but I still remember.
Yeah,
clearly.
I saw a meme today. I don't know if I posted it in the group or not, but there was a dude buying alcohol. He handed his driver's license to the guy. He's like, ID. And he looks like super fast at the fucking and hands it back to him. I was like, well, that was quick. It's like, yeah, well, I saw 19 in the birth date. And
yeah,
it did. You see the dude goes into this like far off look, but that's like you as soon as you see 19 anything, you automatically assume that they're at least 21.
So are you familiar with the song? This is from 1999. By Len called Steal My Sunshine. If you steal my sunshine. Yep. The music video for that, there was a woman in it who was like fucking like 10 and a half months pregnant, like in one scene of that. Right. And somewhere in the comments of that video, because I had that on a YouTube playlist, and I just happened to look at the comments recently, and they're like, you understand that baby can buy alcohol right now. That baby that's in that woman's belly during this music video. Yeah.
I mean,
and I'm like, wow,
it's facts. I mean, I have a 21-year-old daughter who was born in October of 1999.
Yeah. So
it's like, yeah, it's fucking scary. It's scary. And as we're talking about this movie, and there's I don't want to talk about the opening sequence yet, but the pan through of New York, that whole like, hey, we're going to show who the producers were and everything else, the beginning of the movie.
Which I've got a note about the producers.
Yeah, all that criteria. And then you see a bunch of shots of the Twin Towers.
And at least 3 shots of the Twin Towers.
Yeah, and it's like each one of those is just like, damn, that's this year's 20 years. 20 fucking years. Yeah, it's mind blowing. I mean, obviously that's how time works, right?
Yeah.
But it's still, you get to, you start reaching these milestones and you're going like, fuck, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Yeah, it's weird. So yeah, it came out.
We're old is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, 86, stars Shelley Long and Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
So they were both at really interesting points in their career. Shelley Long at this point was probably at the peak of her career because this took place during the 4th season of Cheers.
Right.
So she left after the 5th season. So, and everybody knows fucking Cheers.
Yeah.
Like, even if you weren't a big fan of it, you know it and you know how big it was at the time. And, when Shelley Long was on the show before she left, like, it was fucking, it was everything like that. It was like the next MASH, basically.
It was. In fact, like, when Cheers was over, like the final season, I think you can make a direct comparison to how, like, when MASH was over, just the amount of emotion, like when the show was over. Yeah, fuck, dude. That's a whole nother.
Yeah. So like
another thing about Cheers.
Like Shelley Long was at kind of the peak of her career. She was 36, I think, in this, and I think Tom Hanks was like 29. So it was a really weird age disparity. But Tom Hanks was just kind of coming up at this point. He had done obviously Bosom Buddies, and he had started to have some success with Splash and Bachelor Party in 84, which, by the way, we got to talk about Bachelor Party as a whole other subject one of these days. Holy shit, what a fucking movie.
Man, I haven't watched that movie in a minute.
Neither have I. I probably haven't watched it since the 80s, but I still remember every minute of it. So anyway, story for another time. But I mean, this was before Tom Hanks was kind of known as a huge A-list actor. This was before Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, the things that kind of catapulted him into that A-list status. So he was still on the way up. Hell, this was before Big.
Yeah.
Which you remember, Big was one of his big movie moments.
Pun intended.
Yeah. So yeah, this was kind of Tom Hanks on the way up and Shelley Long at her peak and just about to start going down.
Shelley Long was really lucky to get a part like this in a major movie. I don't know what other movies that she's actually done.
She had done a few leading up to this, and I think the big thing was most people were under the impression that she left Cheers to pursue a career in film.
Right.
Probably the first person to do this during our lifetimes. Leave a big TV show because they want to go pursue, bigger things in major motion pictures, which not the last one. We get a lot of stories throughout the years that where other people do it. You think of your David Caruso's and some other people who are part of these big TV shows, and they're like, oh, well, I'm bigger than this, and I'm going to go make movies now, and I'm going to, catapult myself even higher.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite pan out most of the time.
She was, after this, she was in Outrageous Fortune.
Never heard of it.
Then the Hello Again.
I remember the commercials for that movie. It's where she like died and she came back as a ghost.
Oh, that's okay.
But I never actually saw the movie. I remember the trailers for it. But
in 1989, she did Troop Beverly Hills.
Another one where I remember the commercials more than the movie itself.
Craig T. Nelson was in that, another TV personality.
Yep.
Doing Coach at the time. The Brady Bunch movie. I don't remember her part in that.
Well, she was the mom. And she actually did a really good job of playing the mom.
Yeah, you know what?
She played like a very exaggerated version of Mrs. Brady.
That's, you know what? Yeah. Now that you say that, she did the sequel, the Very Brady sequel.
Yeah.
And Dr. T and the Women in 2000. That's it. So
yeah. So yeah, we were getting Shelley Long at her peak. And I got to say, as a man who appreciates women, she was looking good in this movie with the exception of the poodle haircut. She had everything else going on.
1986. So in some of the early sequences in the movie, like in the first half of the movie, where they're like just getting into the house and starting to like do stuff in the house, and she's got her hair pulled back.
Yeah.
Right. With the encounter with the fucking carpenter, right? And her hair is pulled back. Yeah. That is like that right there. That's as hot as she's ever been. That's the peak. You want to talk about where the fucking apogee is? That's where it is.
She's in the flannel shirt. She's got sleeves rolled
up, fucking hair pulled back. I'm like that. There you go. You nailed it. They're downhill from there, but yeah, that one in particular, she nailed it.
Yep. So anyway, what we like to do on the show is kind of talk about our history with the movie before we get into any more details. So Dave is still mesmerized by the fetus ice that we have. That for those of you who don't watch us on YouTube, it was an exclusive during the break. My lovely wife, Kristen, who I love very much, brought us out some ice, and she brought us out ice cubes with little baby fetuses frozen into them. They're these little bitty baby plastic toys that she froze into the fucking ice.
Yep.
God knows how long she's been planning this. Probably at least until she found out she was off today.
Where did she hide this ice so that you wouldn't have seen it?
Where did she get the fucking babies?
I mean, internet.
And who would have thought of that?
One of them's starting to break out.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, no, I've got several that are breaking out of the ice cubes. I'm like, this is very disturbing as I'm drinking my rum and coke. And
you can't like, it just catches your eye and you're like, ah.
Are you okay over there?
It's the
Am I gonna have to cut you off?
Cut something off.
Okay. So my history with this movie, basically, growing up, we didn't have HBO. We had the movie channel, right?
Okay.
So the movie channel was kind of like the lesser man's HBO, where I think HBO got the box office hits, right? You know, a year or whatever after they left theaters.
Yeah, like the first run, type thing.
Whereas the movie channel got the leftover crap after that, or they got the shit that HBO got 2 years ago.
Right.
So the movie channel got the B movies, and I remember the Money Pit was one of them. And I'm pretty sure we recorded this on an old Betamax tape growing up, because I know I had the ability to watch this multiple times growing up back in the 80s on a Betamax cassette. So I'm pretty sure we recorded this off of the movie channel, and I was able to go back and watch it over and over again. And I did. Betamax. And it's so funny too, because you would think that as a 10-year-old kid, probably 11 by the time I actually saw it for the first time, that nothing about this movie would appeal to me, but I enjoyed it. And I credit this movie, along with A Clockwork Orange, for really introducing me to classical music and growing that appreciation for classical music that I have. So, because we get a couple of moments in this movie, which if you're, again, watching on the YouTube, you saw the last scene of the movie where they do the rock version of Ode to Joy, the Beethoven Ninth Symphony. And it's really well done. And it's like long before Trans-Siberian Orchestra or any of that shit, but it's good shit. Music is a side story in this, whereas Shelley Long's character is a violinist in like one of the big New York orchestras, and her ex-husband, Max, the actor Alexander Dodonov, is the maestro, the conductor. Yes. They refer to him as the maestro. So, but that's essentially my history with the movie. What about you?
I don't remember.
No,
I really don't. I think it's something that my parents watched and I saw like by happenstance, like when I was younger, but it left enough of an impression that throughout the years, even not seeing it all the way through ever again, since when I saw it as a kid, there were moments that I've had that we're going to talk about, I'm sure, with our own home buying experiences that immediately my brain went to those moments in the Money Pit. And what was interesting about watching it again now is that those moments made there were such brief moments in the movie, in the grand scheme of the movie, right? But those were the ones that had the most impact. Like when it came on, I'm like, holy fuck! Like the tub falling through the fucking falling through the floor. And honestly, I have a feeling this was probably on in my house several times, and I was like, I got it by proxy. But actually sitting down like deliberately to watch it, this is probably the first time. So I couldn't remember exactly when, but it was definitely in the 80s for sure when I saw it.
And you mentioned earlier the opening scene. We start off in Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, so Jason provided me a copy.
That I acquired legitimately.
He acquired legitimately,
of course.
And I was able to watch said copy of this recording, completely legitimate recording.
Yep.
And see the last comment.
Yeah, and it's probably going to happen. Like a lot of them are starting to break out of the ice, so I may very well be swallowing a baby later.
Oh my god!
But we digress.
Oh my god!
Rio de Janeiro.
So Rio de Janeiro. So the movie starts, and I'm like, is this the right movie? Like, so I'm looking at it, and I'm waiting. I'm just like, meh. Is he punking me right now? Like, what exactly is happening? Because I zero recollection of that part in the movie,
Mhm.
right? And it wasn't until like obviously Tom Hanks starts talking because he's gets the leather from his father or whatever. But
yeah,
and like then I'm like, okay, I just saw that for the first time apparently. Like I had no recall memory of that moment at all. So I thought I was watching the wrong movie.
Well, and that goes back to when we would watch movies back in the day. Let's say the only way that you watched movies was through like HBO or the movie channel or something. If you weren't sitting on your couch in front of the TV when it fucking started, you didn't see that part of the movie. Period.
And honestly, a lot of those movies, because there's like this all right, here's a little bit of the movie, then we're going to roll the credits, right?
Right.
I think because I'm so Star Wars centric, and because Star Wars doesn't do that,
right?
Like,
it does.
That's
crawl movie.
Yeah. Like who produced it, who wrote it, all that other shit. That's for the end.
Yeah.
That's
which, by the way, George Lucas got a lot of heat for that.
He did. Yeah. With the fucking Screen Actors Guild and everybody else was giving him a bunch of shit, but it's better.
Yeah,
it's
and
better.
Disney still does it to this day.
I don't need that fucking beginning sequence like where I feel like I'm sitting here watching Magnum PI as they're fucking going through the scroll footage or the B-roll footage of the New York City skyline. You don't need any of that.
Right, but it was interesting to see.
It was.
Every time, I go back and I watch an old movie that's got the Twin Towers in it, it's like, wow, fucking what a different time.
Think about too the Twin Towers. World Trade was, I think, completed in 72 or 73. So the towers were 13 years old at the time of the film.
Wow, that's weird to think about.
Yeah. So they're
and they wouldn't come down for another 15 years.
Yeah, it was relatively. There's a part of my brain that still thinks of it as a relatively new feature of the skyline. Like I don't want to dwell on this particular thing because as a kid who went to New York City. Like, did the Statue of Liberty thing because, I grew up in New Jersey. So by proxy, like I walked through that area, like underneath the towers and all that.
And we're going to put a pin in that because this year is the 20th anniversary. Yeah. So come September, you can bet your fucking ass we'll be talking 9/11. So anyway, go ahead.
We're pronouncing De Janeiro wrong.
Rio de Janeiro? Well, how the fuck are you supposed to pronounce it?
Well, he speaks fucking Portuguese, so.
Oh. Okay, well, we're Americans, and that's how we say it in America.
I do not speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
As I've proven many times in Brazil.
And the whole premise of the movie is Tom Hanks and Shelley Long are a couple, not married, but they're a couple. They seem really in love, but they find themselves needing a home like now.
Right.
Like desperation, like we need a place to move into tonight. And they basically get duped into buying this $1 million home for $200,000.
Right.
And they said it all along, like there's something got to be wrong with it.
Yeah.
Their initial reaction is it seems too good to be true.
Right.
But they eventually drink the fucking Kool-Aid and they get talked into it.
So the idea, there's a couple of things that are introduced to us pretty early on, right? Is this think about how much $200,000 was in 1986.
Probably a lot.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it was like a mansion-sized property.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that...
Which, FYI, that exact property recently sold for $6 million.
Shit. So... Yeah, no. There's no way I'm pronouncing it that way. I can't retrain. Anyway, so the $200,000 is still, to me, was a lot of money. But they're New Yorkers. They have access to those funds, as we find out how. Yeah. But the fucking realtor, right? I love how they make the dude immediately like, well, is he still in jail? Like, no, all I had to do was pay a fine, right? Right. And then you show him, okay, meet me on the running track, and this highfalutin, New York City skyline fucking running track where this dude's literally dying,
right?
As he's running.
But yeah, it's like a track on the 10th floor of a building, and
the part for me, it was this idea that they had a watch-based pace, like something that was measuring your heartbeat.
Yeah,
as a watch. They had that shit in 1986.
Well, the thing was like fucking this.
Well, it was.
It was like a big ass fucking thing on his wrist.
It was, but I mean, in 1986, I was fucking marveling at, my Soundwave fucking transformer watch, with the LCD screen. Mm-hmm. The idea of having something like that was going to
like a heart monitor,
measure your heartbeat was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And immediately put him in an ambulance that looked like it was from fucking 1970.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's so weird too seeing some of the differences. But I mean, aside from some of that shit early on, the movie really does feel like
one of the feet just touched my lip.
The movie is kind of timeless. The concept, the shit that they go through, not all that different from anything you'd see today, quite frankly.
Yeah, especially in an area. Now, I could see if you were in certain parts of the country that where homes are relatively new.
Right. But we're in the Northeast. This takes place in New York.
Yeah.
I think this house was in some fucking suburban New York town, which is not that different from, where we are here in Jersey.
An hour outside of the city.
Yeah.
It could have very well been in New Jersey.
And but honestly, because it had been so long since I've seen this, I'm like, I bet this house is in fucking Jersey, because they take a train from the city to whatever town this was in.
Right.
That plays a role in this.
And take a cab, then a train. It's just like, because why would they have cars? They're New Yorkers. They live in the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I lost it.
No,
I had something. It's gone.
Oh well, but
it apparently fucking as soon as the baby's
the babies are very distracting. Anyway, so yeah, they get duped into buying this $1 million home for $200,000,
right?
And everything seems like it's going to be great. They go, they visit, they're like, oh, this is fantastic. But knowing what happens later on, I started paying attention to this opening scene, because I don't think I ever did. Because again, when I watched this as an 11-year-old kid, the home ownership aspect really kind of went over my head. It was just like, oh, they just had a string of bad luck with this house.
Right.
It didn't really dawn on me how relevant so much of this shit is to today. And you see the signs when they go and they visit the house, and the old lady's like, oh, can you use the bathroom downstairs? The one up here has got all my personal stuff in it.
Yep.
Or I don't really like to turn on the lights because I'm trying to save money for the lawyers.
Right.
And you see that stuff and you pick up on it now. I'm like, oh, okay, it's all making sense.
Yeah, you're right. Like when we were house hunting and going through so many places and just kind of going over and turning on the water. And which funny you say that, because when they're doing the walkthrough and he's in the bathroom, he is in that other bathroom that's like fucking the gaudiest shit, right?
Yeah.
But he's in that, he runs the water and it's hot. I mean, to me, I was like, oh, okay, like that's a reasonable check. You want to make sure the fucking water runs. The toilet obviously flushed down there.
Yes,
right?
And there's probably a reason why she funneled him into that location,
because that one particular location works.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was night, right? They show up there, it's dark as shit, right? So you can't see the exterior issues with the house, right? You just like, wow, look at the size of this place. You know what I mean? Like it really tees you up for what ends up coming next.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, what happens next is just this long it must have been 45 minutes of nothing but shit going wrong with the house, which this is when it kind of started to take me out of it a little bit. It's like, okay, I get it. It's like everything is fucked up in the house, but it gets to the point of just being silly.
Well, so, silliness, I think. So I had the same thought that you did. And then I realized that we probably, without the benefit of Home Alone, because Home Alone had, especially Home Alone 2, when he's in that, like in the construction area, that has all like the holes in the floor and shit like that. Like, I feel like I don't see it in Home Alone. Maybe it doesn't seem quite as over the top with this particular thing. Because there's a lot of subtle nuances. Like you look at how the walls are with the fucking, with the plaster walls. And then obviously, would a bathtub be over an area that didn't have like crossbeam support? Probably not. But I laughed so fucking hard at Tom Hanks laughing at that point.
Oh, when the tub fell through.
The tub fell through the fucking floor, I had to stop it and laugh for a good 5 fucking minutes just at his laugh, because you get to that point.
So here's a funny thing. Kind of relates that to my current home that I have. So our second floor bathroom, there is a jacuzzi tub in there, which the concept seemed cool, right? It's like, oh my God, there's a jacuzzi tub up here. It's massive. Really, really cool. home inspector's coming through, he's in the laundry room on the first floor, which is directly underneath that bathroom, and he's looking up and he's like, yeah, the ceiling here is not reinforced for a tub that big. He's like, you have to, do some very strict reinforcement here before you guys ever use that tub upstairs. And to this day, we haven't,
right?
Because I have no idea how to do that. And like he recommended, like, oh yeah, go to some engineering school. Like if you talk to some engineering students, maybe they can make up something for you. I'm like, are you kidding me? But anyway, that just kind of that part in the movie reminded me of the fact that we had this massive fucking tub on our second floor that we can't use because the floor underneath it is not reinforced very well.
Yeah, and that's really funny. That we figured your house is probably.
Oh, this house is a fucking amalgam. This house, when we brought the home inspector in here, he's like, I've never seen a house like this in my life.
Yeah.
Because it's been like built upon so many times. He thinks it used to be a one-story house where the front of it faced that way. But they've done so many renovations, added the second floor, added like extra rooms, made the house now face that way, that like it's completely changed from what it originally was built as.
Yeah, I remember this room where we're sitting right now in the studio was an accidental find.
Yeah,
like,
we didn't even know. We didn't even know this room was here the first time we looked at the house.
Yeah, it just the idea of that is crazy. But you bring up the home inspector, like there was no home inspector for this.
Right.
There was no like, hey, we're going to buy this house. Okay, cool. Here's money.
Well, and that was the thing too. It's like, we have to close of business tomorrow. We have to, we need the 200 grand or it's over, which, you look at the lady who's selling them this and then you fast forward to the end of the movie and it's like, oh, okay. There seems to be a pattern here.
Right. This is the scam that they're running.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, it was pretty funny, but then, yeah, the whole, like, you get into this long stretch where just like everything is going wrong with the movie or with the house. Just like the door breaks and then the outer frame of the door breaks. The ceiling comes down, the stairs come down, which the stairs coming down was a pretty iconic scene because I know they use that in most of the like the TV spots and the trailers for it, was that scene of Tom Hanks like jumping off of the fucking crumbling staircase and then grabbing the ledge before he comes crashing down with it.
The stunt man doing that.
Sure. Yeah.
Tom Hanks, like I in the flash of watching it, because I had it on the computer and I'm like, oh yeah, that dude's not Tom Hanks.
Right.
But the idea that you don't think of stairs as being something that could happen to, like, there's stairs, right? There's something supporting this. Yet I've been in houses where there's like a staircase that wasn't necessarily in the spot that it was intended and was had an unusual amount of movement to it.
A little bit of wobble.
Yeah, a little like, oh yeah, we're just gonna tack these fucking nails up here to hold it all together. It'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong?
Yep. So one of the subplots to this whole thing is Shelley Long's ex-husband, Max, played by Alexander Dadonov, is still trying to get her back and everything. And he's the maestro. He's the conductor of this New York orchestra who just came back from like a year-long excursion to Europe or whatever. Now, I wanted to bring this up because as soon as I saw him come on screen this last rewatch, I'm like, oh, I fucking love this guy. First of all, I love his character, the character of Max.
Yeah.
Like he's arrogant. He's
the way he shits on the fucking orchestra is hilarious.
Yeah, he's everything I've ever wanted to be, right? And I fucking love his character so much. And then I'm realizing, like, besides like Die Hard and Witness, I can't think of anything recent he's done. So I went and I looked him up on Wikipedia, and I didn't realize he died back in 1995.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, so
I did not know that.
Yeah, so he's been dead for fucking 26 years.
Wow.
Yeah. No, apparently he was an alcoholic and he died from alcoholism and something else.
Damn.
Which is a real shame because again, he was a really good character actor. He had a great role in Die Hard, great role in Witness, and I love his character in this so much. And
he was our age. He was 45.
Yeah.
When he passed away.
So
from the Soviet Union. Okay.
Yeah, so he was Russian. I couldn't really figure out where the hell he was from.
Started as a ballet dancer.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. So, but anyway, Yeah, that was a subplot, and I wanted to bring him up because a lot of people from our generation remember him. They see him and they like can easily spot him from one of a handful of movies.
Yeah, Die Hard, aside from the Vigo Carpathian bit, but
Yeah.
Die Hard was definitely one that I recognized him in.
Yeah, because he's the guy who, even after they killed Hans Gruber and
Mhm.
threw him off the building, he was the one who came back at the very end, and then
Right.
you know Carl Winslow shot him with the gun at the end. Dave is still marveling over the fetuses in his ice.
I'm just trying to have one not touch my face again.
Mm-hmm. So the only other thing I wanted to bring up about this movie is I actually really liked the relationship between Shelley Long and Tom Hanks's characters. I think it was a really cute relationship. I really liked the way they played off of each other, but you could see that there was real love there. And even by the end, I was so glad to see the makeup and everything. I don't know, maybe I'm just becoming a softie in my old age, but I really really love that dynamic between the two of them, and I thought it was a great relationship despite the alleged cheating story and everything.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Shelley Long and Tom Hanks actually had really good chemistry in this, and as we are going to be doing this year, especially with a lot of these movies that came out in 86, because 86 was like a big year for a lot of movies. So this 35-year anniversary, we're going to be talking about a lot of 80s movies.
Yeah.
And how that on-screen kind of like chemistry, like no nudity, like just kind of like all this implied type stuff. And it works really well.
Yeah.
And it makes you... It kind of lets you focus more on what's going on. Like, obviously the house is this big element of, of the core of everything, which, by the way, at the fucking end of this thing, right? That fucking house, like once it was all painted up and everything else, no fucking way that those contractors could do that in any amount of time.
Well, 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull off on my fucking Corvette. 2 weeks.
Yeah. What was I love the fact that too when the Shirk brothers would drive away, it was that fucking oh god, the one guy.
I can't.
The song, I've gotta be me.
Oh yeah.
I love that aspect of
it. With
too.
his license plate was AS1.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, it's not the greatest movie in the world. I'm always entertained when I watch it. It could just be partially because of my history with the movie, but I saw so many things this time around, despite the fact that I felt it was a little over the top with how much shit went wrong with the house. It's like, okay, like every single fucking thing in the house is broken and destroyed and bad. It's like, all right, you're stretching it a little bit here, but I get it. I get that was the whole point. They were being a little over the top, but still, showing this issue that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Even people like us.
When we were house hunting, right? Because we bought our first house and only house in 2006, right?
Yep.
Which right at the aft end of the fucking housing bubble.
Right.
So
before the bubble burst, but still.
So we got all of the we pay all the extra money and not have any of the fucking equity after the fucking bubble burst. Which honestly, that's probably a lot of Gen Xers, right? Because I was how old was I in 2006? I was
29.
No,
because you were born in 75. Oh, 31.
Yeah, so I was in my early 30s. We lived on base for a long time, and base housing had its own issues. Base housing, I think, was built around the same time that this house was fucking built in
in the money pit
in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, we walked through a lot of houses, and listen, my parents, the house that they bought, I was young, obviously. Like I think they bought the house in 80. So I was like 5-6 years old when they got the house. It might have been, like 5 years old. And there's parts of this where you look at like those walls. You know why I know what those walls look like when they start taking the plaster down is because that was our walls in that house.
Oh, really?
So my mom would, at one point tore down like with a claw hammer, just started pulling that fucking wall down.
Really?
To fucking replace it because it was falling apart. Like that old plaster, you get that fucking clapboard with the plaster on top of it. And then, the house shifts and dries and everything else, and that fucking gypsum board and that plaster starts to break the fuck away. So I've seen that element in my parents' house. You know, the bathroom when they got it, they bought a house with a purple bathroom, like purple in 1980.
Damn.
So like the toilet was purple, and like the toilet was painted purple.
Maybe they were like big Prince fans.
I don't even know.
Purple rain.
So the house had a pool, right?
Nice.
And it had a big in-ground pool, but it wasn't like
in Jersey.
Yeah.
That's pretty rare.
It was a big in-ground pool, and the liner and everything was all ripped out of it. It was like, it was beyond the point of no return, right?
Oh shit.
So that had to get filled, right? So I remember when we were moving into the house and getting stuff ready, and my uncle would come over, and they would just be fucking like, my dad had a plumbing background before, and when he got out of the Navy. So he's working on stuff that as a kid I'm not recognizing, but they're throwing like this fucking old that purple fucking toilet to this day at that house. If you dug down into the fucking deep end of that old pool, right, which we obviously was filled over completely, but if you excavated that, some fucking archaeologist 1,000 years from now is going to find his purple fucking toilet down at the bottom.
Just threw it in the pool and filled it up.
Yeah, just threw all that shit in there. Had dump trucks drive in, and then like the kind of shit where the dump truck pulls up, and we had this concrete pad, right? There was a fence with a concrete pad, so open up the fence so that the dump truck could come in to dump the fill dirt in, right? Well, the fucking dump truck gets on the concrete pad and cracks it.
Oh shit!
Just cracks the fucking pad.
Wow.
So now it's still like that. It's
to this day,
it's still like that.
Fucking 40 years later.
Yeah. So, and they had to fucking have the jackhammer out because they're jackhammering certain parts. And my uncle at the time, he was in his just turned 20, 21 years old, right? And he was like bodybuilding. So he's like, he manned the jackhammer, was back there fucking going to town with that. And I just have these visions of all these little things happening while trying to fucking make this house livable. Right. All these little nuances with the plumbing, with the fucking this, with the all the fucking bullshit that went into trying to get the pool filled in.
Yeah.
And then we put an above ground pool on top of it. So you have all these things. So this concept of like when we're going through and looking at houses, I have all these little experiences, like stuff that it was at Kathy's parents' house, before they moved in with us, seeing things that were wrong with that house. And so I had all this data and the money pit, because I was deathly afraid of fucking getting to that one thing where I was gonna turn on a switch and the fucking the wires were gonna start shorting up the fucking wall, the old knob and tube, and that was a real thing. Yeah, like you'll today, this day and age, like if you get a contractor to come in on some of these old houses, they're still replacing knob and tube wiring.
No shit.
Yeah. So if you do any, like if you legitimately do it and you pull a permit for something electrical and there's knob and tube in there, you're replacing all of it. This is a fucking fire hazard. Like there really wasn't much of an exaggeration. Like wallpaper getting fucking scorched like that because of something issue behind in the wall. That totally legit.
Wow.
With again, we're sitting here in 2020, right? Most of the houses that we're like within 10 miles of right now were built in the 50s.
Yeah. If
not older. I mean, there's a lot of newer developments.
The theory is this house is much older than that. So
probably, if they've been building on top of it.
And I mean, to be honest, our home buying experience, basically, I didn't really have your experiences, and like the idea of the money pit wasn't really in my mind as we were trying to buy a house, because we were kind of in the same boat as you. We were living on base for the longest time and finally decided we need to like become homeowners. That's what you do eventually. And when we came across this house, they did a great job, just like the old lady in the money pit, of beautifying the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
They had landscapers come out and just like do a beautiful job on the landscaping around the house. They did some really good deceptive interior decorating to really kind of cover up some of the bad and highlight the good of the inside of the house.
Yeah.
To the point where we're just like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about this house is exactly what we want. So that's kind of what drew us.
Yeah. And we were buying houses when the most popular thing going on at the time with the market the way it was, because people were flipping houses like crazy because they were getting such a return on the investment, right?
Yeah.
They get, flip the house, put a bunch of money into it to make it aesthetically pleasing, maybe update the appliances. Like, oh, look, here's stainless steel appliances. Like, wow, stainless steel appliances. That's fucking great. Right. Meanwhile, some of the bigger issues are hiding. Like, you don't think about, like, even I didn't think about the windows. I didn't think about how energy deficient the windows were.
Oh yeah. Mine are the same way.
And it had this. So the way our house was, from a home buying perspective, we looked at a bunch of houses. We walked into this house, and we were the only people to bid on it. Like, it had just gone on the market. We just happened to be in an area. We were looking at another house, and we were looking for 3 or more bedrooms, right? Because Jeff and Kate's bedroom in the fucking
sorry, I'm reading the chat.
Yeah. Kate's bedroom in base housing was like an 8x10 room, and it just wasn't any good. So we wanted to have big rooms for the kids and an office if we could do it. So we were kind of looking for 4 bedrooms.
Yeah.
And the very, very few 4-bedroom houses like in the area we're looking, because there was a particular area in Runnymede that we were interested in living because of the school district. We were familiar with the area. There's no traffic. Like, it was the better part.
Sure.
And it still is to this day. I'm the area, and honestly the house, but there was an older couple that had been in there since the 50s, since 1955, when the fucking house was built.
Oh, damn.
So you had this old lady that sold, like, the husband died. She sold to somebody who flipped the house. And they basically, like, if you look at my house right now, like, and it's gray, well, they rented a sprayer and fucking sprayed the outside with a layer of gray. Like, that it's aluminum siding, which is aluminum siding. It's, if you look at it funny, it dents. I mean, that's the problem with aluminum siding. Like, if you lived in an area where you're never going to have bad weather or hail or anything else, then fine, aluminum siding, cool. But yeah.
But we live where we live.
We live where we live.
Yeah.
So when they flipped the house, they did, like, the windows in the living room, like the main area. So, like, when you walk in, Jason, I can say this now because I realized where I fucked up with the windows. Was when I walked in, I looked at the kitchen and I looked at the fucking living room. I looked at those windows, and they had new, like, vinyl windows. And they weren't great. I wasn't looking at energy ratings or anything like that. I just looked and saw there were newer windows. Those were the only new windows in the fucking place.
And I'm sure that was strategic.
Yeah. The cabinets, like, they obviously this was a house built in the 50s. And so they took all those old cabinets and everything else out, and they put, like, Lowe's standard cabinets in there with cheap countertops. And, did some stuff with lighting. And then, so the people that bought the house before us, right, they were in the house, like, I guess the father or the father-in-law, somebody was a contractor. So they did stuff like put up crown molding and did some other little things, replaced the heating and air conditioning system. They put in this, like, oversized unit, which, again, I didn't know enough about. Come to find out, it doesn't matter how big of a fucking unit you have. That's what she said. But
I sure hope so.
When you have a 4-story, a 4-floor house, a split level, split the wrong way, then getting air all the way to the other fucking side on the top floor is very, very difficult. So the getting heat and air conditioning into that fucking level is nearly impossible. It doesn't matter how, like,
so who lives in that area where?
Nobody right now.
Okay.
Like, that was Kathy and I's room. We had the kids in the other rooms, and yeah, what the fuck was that? Things are falling apart around us as we're talking about the house. Oh, it's the fart box.
It was really taped under my chair.
Dude, there was a clandestine operation to put that fucking fart box in here.
Where was I?
From the sounds of it, she was working on this, like, all week.
Oh my God.
It wouldn't surprise me if she took the day off just for
that bit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But anyway, it's like flipping houses is what I was getting to. Like, so many people walked into houses that had that, like you said, aesthetically, wow, look at this. This is updated. Looks good. That looks good.
Yeah.
The jacuzzi tub is a perfect example of that. When they were building new homes around here, and I remember this not when I was going with John, the John friend of the podcast of John, and we were looking at like new townhomes and stuff, like when he was looking to buy before he went down to Florida.
Yeah.
And we're kind of looking at some of the new construction, and they had jacuzzi tubs like in everywhere. And it was a fad.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, houses right now are selling with jacuzzi tubs. So okay, we'll put one in, but not necessarily being engineered properly and over like, hey, this area is rated for a fucking a stand-up shower, not a fucking giant jacuzzi tub. And so you have a lot of houses around here that had those, and now people, us Gen Xers, are in these houses. We're like, this fucking jacuzzi tub is ridiculous.
Yeah. And I want to just get rid of it. But the thing is, like, seriously, it's like fucking 8 feet by like fucking 6 feet. And I don't know how the hell we would get out of our house. We'd have to rip out the fucking wall in the bathroom.
You just hit it with a Sawzall and cut it up. It's plastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it feels like fucking like a metal material. I don't know. But...
Yeah, you can cut anything with a Sawzall.
Okay. Enough.
We have the technology, but the trick is now you have to replace that with something, right?
Right. And that's all going to cost money. And that's the thing. Like, I came to realize very quickly, like, we bought this house for $220,000, something like that.
Yeah.
Not the worst deal in the world. Property tax is what kills us in fucking Jersey, but I digress. I realized though, we could easily put another $100,000 of work into this fucking house with all of the shit that needs to be fixed, replaced, that's old, that was kind of covered up. There's so much probably needs to go into this house at this point. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because the way the market would be, like if somebody's going to buy an old house, you almost have to do these things.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so many options to go buy with, the stuff that was built in the 90s is now considered old, I mean, which is fucking hilarious. But
yeah.
We're in the same boat. I'm looking at, Isaac in the chat's talking about the how much you could drop easily into the house. Like we're looking at, a roof here coming soon. I know you were talking about too.
Well, my garage is in desperate need. It's got multiple holes in the roof. Like this fucking Biden money we just got, this newest stimulus, all of that is going right into the roof of our garage. The roof of our house is going to need to be replaced within the next year or two.
Yeah.
So, and that's fucking thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's expensive. And you know why? Because roofing sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if people remember, because I don't think we were doing a Gen X podcast yet, but when we got COVID, right? Were we still doing
We were still doing all things Star Wars.
So right before I got sick, I put a roof on this small area of my house. We call it the Florida room. And it was like, no, I'm just going to get up there. I'm going to do it myself. It's a small, real estate wise, it's a very small area. It's real simple. It's one pitch. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I helped put a roof on when I was 18 years old. So I obviously can remember how to do this. Right.
Yep.
And, thankfully I had COVID, because otherwise I thought the roof was going to kill me. And the roof was why I couldn't breathe. Apparently it was because of fucking COVID. But, being on the roof in fucking late June, putting even a little bit with the paper, and it's so fucking hot. It's like putting up drywall. There's a level of art to it that you have to make it look fucking good. And if you fuck it up, it can be more expensive. Like I went up there, and I'm talking about this little area, right? This little small area. I go up there, and I'm like, I know I'm gonna have to replace a couple of pieces of fucking plywood, and fucking sure shit, take the old roof off, and the plywood is a 1/4 inch thick, like a 1/4 inch. I'm walking on this thing, and I go to fucking remove one of the pieces, and I realize how fucking thin it is. I'm lucky I didn't fall through Tom Hanks style through the fucking thing, right? And I'm like, and the problem was, look at the babies floating in your fucking rum and coke right now.
Hold on, let me see if we can get this in the film.
Oh my fucking God.
Look at that. I have babies floating in my fucking drink.
Put it down. I'm gonna take the above shot, because that's how I see it. Oh my god, it's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, well, you know what? I don't think it was in focus. In the shadow. This is in the way. All right, there you go. Anyway, so I'm up there. I'm thinking, okay, we priced everything out and everything. We're saving all this money, right, by doing it ourselves or myself.
Mm-hmm.
And go up there thinking I'm gonna have to replace one sheeted. I have to or all the fucking plywood on there because I can't put one piece of plywood on there because I can't put a 1/4-inch plywood back on the fucking roof.
Yeah.
Who could even buy it? So now I have to buy the right shit, take all the plywood off, had to reinforce some of the fucking structure underneath it, and do all of that shit and get that down before I even started putting fucking shingles on. It is a giant undertaking that is well worth paying somebody else to fucking do.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, this was a little small area of the fucking house and it was fucking hot. And I swear to God, it almost killed me.
So I want to pivot back to the money pit really quick because you mentioned the part of Tom Hanks going through the floor. That to this day is still my favorite scene in the movie, where after the Hell's Angels, literally they hired Hell's Angels to come in and be part of that like destruction crew. And he's walking around the house that night and he fucking goes through a fucking hole in the floor and he's like pinned in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, fucking love that scene. Loved it as a kid.
Yep.
Still loved it this time around.
Because he disappears. It's so funny. Like all of a sudden, zoop, and he's gone. And Shelley Long's just like, ah!
Yeah. Great scene. That whole sequence when he first falls in and he's trapped in there and he's trying to yell at the permit guy.
Yeah, and he's talking about how he's going to have to go kiss the permit guy's ass. And, zoop, and he's gone.
Yeah, great fucking scene in that movie.
But we're talking about having all this money that we have to put in these houses. And look, Solsky, who's I don't think is in the chat, right? He's a handy guy. He does a lot of his own work.
Oh, yeah, he built their studio over there for the escape pod.
And having that knowledge is really useful, but you also have to have the time.
Yeah.
Like you have to have the time and you have to have other people. Because doing that roof by myself was fucking dumb. Like, especially because I put I carried all the fucking the shingles, carried all those fucking like a pallet and a half of shingles up onto that roof by myself. I put all the plywood on by myself. Like I did all this shit. And everything was manually nailed. I didn't have a nail gun. So it was just a lot of fucking manual labor that, I mean, I'm not like my health border is very borderline as it was. So this probably took 10 years off my life fucking going up there to do this thing to save a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And it's really, Tom Hanks talks about like, a really good carpenter is hard to find. And that, honestly, it's true today. I mean, there's a lot of people who are out there doing work, but you have to really be going by like word of mouth, people that and trust that have gotten work done, so you can see their level of craftsmanship.
And that's how we do it now. Whenever like we have a plumbing issue or something else, Kristen is part of this like Cherry Hill Facebook group, and she'll go on there and she'll be like, "Hey, anybody got a link for a good plumber or a good roofer or whatever?" And like people will chime in like, "Oh yeah, this person did great work for us," and they'll give the link. So
I wish you got to hit an adult store and pick up penis straws. What am I missing? Anyway,
I think she's trying to give Kristen some ideas for the next gag.
Liam's house. Remember, you've been to Liam's house, right? We did a fantasy draft there. I thought you were there.
No, I did one at Logan's house.
Okay,
but not Liam's.
So Liam had a fantasy draft at his house. And it was just the log cabin he's living in right now, right? And his house is probably as close to the money pit like scenario as you can get. Like the stuff that he encountered, and it's this little tiny place, right? This looked funny from this angle. He's got this little tiny place that could have so many problems. Like the idea, like they bought the place before they had kids. So it's like, oh, this is quaint little thing. It's got one bedroom and, it's got this nice little area and a fireplace and everything else. Well, yeah, it was also built on something as simple as when they put the fucking cinder blocks in the ground, they put them in sideways as opposed to like straight up and down. So that when water got in like the water table rose, it was basically just a pipe going right into his fucking crawl space.
Oh Jesus!
Right, so he had to like go through like all that shit to replace because he did a bunch. He's done so much work to that place, but every time something would come up, it was just like this stories that he tells about. Like, no, you wouldn't believe that this could really happen in real life,
right?
And it's Liam's luck with fucking houses and cars. Like he just has that kind of luck. And so John just, he has this place he bought up in North Jersey. And if you have penis straws, I'm going to be so John bought this place up in North Jersey, and he's been doing a whole bunch of work. Oh my god, look at how delicioso dessert just showed up.
Yeah.
I'm going to save that.
Thank you. Is this more fetuses?
It's twins. Congratulations.
Christ.
So he just recently had to spend money, put a roof on, did windows, did the whole thing. It's just
I got to ask him how much he paid for his roof because I still need to have some people come out and give me an estimate.
Look, they did. John and Jacqueline are. John's really eccentric anyway, right? So you can imagine the people that they're going to bring in had better do good fucking work. But he had issues like they brought contractors in and they fucking installed the doors wrong, like install them where like he goes to open and it's like squeaking and because it's not sitting in a door frame right. And
oh shit,
he's had some issues, but the roof guy, he was recommending because Kathy and I we were talking to them about it recently, and he had he just had this patio, like he has this patio on the one side of the house, and the way that they had the patio in, the water was like leaking down under the ground and going right up against the fucking like the sill of the fucking house. Oh, shit. So he thought he was just going to have fucking like windows and doors replaced or whatever, and then maybe redo some of the patio. And then once they started pulling stuff up, and you could put your finger through the fucking wood on the foundation.
Oh, it was just that rotten.
It was that rotted out. So all that shit had to get fucking replaced. Like the problem with houses is that, especially old houses, when you start scratching, like the shit, it just all right. This comes up. Like, okay, I'm going to try and fix this, and then this comes up. Kathy and I we redid our bathroom. Like we did that ourselves.
Well documented on one of our podcasts.
Yes, and because we're not drywallers, right? So there's still some issues, and we got fucking it's called a water hammer. So when if you're in the shower and you flush the toilet, the pipes go. Oh, yeah. So, and it's because when I installed something, I probably didn't get enough air out of the system. And, I'm not a fucking plumber. Like my biggest problem is I'm not afraid to start doing something. And then right or not, like, I'm like, okay, I'll make that work. It might not always be the fucking correct way to do it.
Sure.
But yeah, I think the biggest story with houses, and these guys, for the sake of the movie, everything happened like right away, so you can immediately start repairing. The reality is, you're in a house for fucking a decade, and it's like, oh well, let's update this, and then you start like, oh, we want to get like, we're gonna move this wall, or we're gonna do something, do something to really improve the area, and then the electrical that's here. Can't use that electrical because it won't tie into this. It doesn't meet codes. Now you have to do this to meet code. And now it's like, okay, something that you thought was going to cost $2,000 now it costs $16,000.
Right.
And that's
and that's home ownership.
Yes.
For you.
Yeah. It's expensive.
Yeah.
It just is. And if you're super, super lucky and you buy a house brand new and you still have problems, John. Did you ever make it to John's place in Tampa?
No.
He had a house built in Tampa, and it was really super nice, but it was like the contractor built to spec. Boom, that's it. Like if you didn't spec it out in particular, so any updating or anything you wanted to do, now you're like kind of fighting against what the spec was. And granted, it's brand new, but even that in a decade is going to require something. But yeah. It's the nature of home ownership, and the Money Pit does a really good job of amplifying that.
Right. It's a very exaggerated presentation of the home ownership experience, but so much of it is relevant.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what else we need to say about this in general. I briefly mentioned at the top of the show about the percentages of home ownership. I actually looked this up.
Oh yeah.
Right now, the home ownership rate amongst Gen Xers is 69%. So 69% of us are homeowners.
Okay.
Compared to boomers, which are 77%. Obviously.
Yeah.
But millennials are under 50%. They're 47%. So
yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way the market was. When the bubble broke,
mm-hmm.
and to be fair, as somebody who got kicked square in the dick with the bubble breaking,
mm-hmm.
the market needed a reset.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it was getting fucking ridiculous.
It was like, honestly, they should have never gave us a mortgage, right? I was a brand new master sergeant,
right.
That it was, I don't know, by like, especially not almost $250,000.
Yeah.
We paid $235 for our house.
Okay.
So
that's pretty close to what we paid.
Yeah.
And I think your taxes are a little bit lower than ours.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Runnymede is a little bit less, but it's the, hi, Michelle Kimball.
No,
friend of ours.
Welcome.
Yeah, brand new. It was builder grade. Exactly. They had 1/2-inch screws in her exterior doors. Yeah, it like, oh, here's this. It's it's something that you think this has to be really strong in here. Nope, it just has to be there.
Right.
So it passes the home inspection, and then they fuck off and hope that you spent money on the fucking the warranty.
Right.
I forget where I was going with that.
No, we were just talking about home ownership percentages. You buying at the bubble.
Oh yeah,
and needing that crash in 08.
Yeah, so millennials at the other side of that are probably real reticent about what the market's doing.
Sure.
And there's a lot of people that are like, because I guess it's a buyer's market right now, or is it a seller's market?
I thought it was a seller's market, especially in this area.
Yeah, I think it's a seller's market.
Yeah, I heard Philly is booming right now.
Yeah.
So, and we're right there.
Yeah, Philly has a lot going on, like in the city, especially, where they've had a lot of like market growth. But my house will never be worth, like, in another 20 years, my house won't be worth what I paid for it.
You don't think so?
No, absolutely not.
Huh? Well,
because all these things have to go into it, right? And if you're a millennial, listen to this. Learn from our mistakes, right? I live in an area that's can't expand.
Right.
Right. So
same here.
Yeah, but see, Cherry Hill is huge.
Right.
And Runnymede is very huge. Runnymede is real small. So there's
like my dick. Wait, what?
That's what she said. The idea that you're going to be able to get, like, there's no new housing being built. Like, once in a while, you might get a house that like it burns to the ground and then they build a new one. Or,
right.
There's a couple of new construction, but for the most part, you're going to be looking at the same houses
because all the space is taken. Basically.
Yeah, and it's there's a bunch of apartments and stuff in there too. So the value of those homes, there's the waterfront property. Like, I live across the street from the water, so the houses across the street from me are waterfront. So those will hold value. But those very rarely go on the market because it's, if you enjoy having, like, if you want a boat dock, you want to be on the water, something like that, why would you let that leave your family? Like, generationally, a lot of the people that live in those houses it's multi-generations.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it's a nice area. I like it back where I live, but I can't. The way that the market is, there's no way my house is going to be worth $235,000 in another 20 years. All the best we can do is like pay it down to something that's reasonable and update it as much as we can. But we're not going to be ready to sell in, I don't know. It's so there's so many variables that go into something like that. I would love to not be living in that house in 20 years, but I can easily see being in the house until I retire.
Well, fuck. I mean, if you're still in there 20 years from now, I mean, will it almost be paid off at that point?
Oh, it'll be paid off.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. But still, like I said, it's, you gotta measure against what we gained by moving down here from the base and not taking other jobs, going to Tampa or doing anything else. By moving down closer to her parents and being in a school district we're familiar with and all those things, even though we were immediately underwater in the house because of the market.
Yeah.
It was still worth it.
Sure. I mean, you're still there.
Yeah.
And
you're still there. The place hasn't fallen completely apart. I mean, we're trying in dribs and drabs to do what we can. We just painted over the weekend. We talked about stuff that you do when you're living in a money pit, right?
Right.
The hazardous waste was this weekend. So I sat in a line of cars, all these people getting rid of cans of paint and fucking shit like that. For 40 minutes. I sat in line.
Wow.
Trying to get to this little area here in town. I did that. We painted a hallway,
Nice.
Redid a banister. So you do a little bit here and there to try and just freshen it up cosmetically so you're not staring at paint peeling. And
it's a lot easier to do it when the weather is warm.
When the weather's warm and you don't have children.
That is true.
Children are hard on houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So honestly, having children that can start fending for themselves is better to start fixing up stuff because then they're not going to destroy it nearly as easily.
Yeah, and we're at that point now. All of our kids, they're all teenagers. But fuck, I don't even see them some days, like legitimately, because I work all day. I come home, I'm so fucking tired. I'll see them like once each for a couple of minutes. Most of the time they're up in their fucking rooms playing video games.
Right.
And it's weird. It's a very weird spot that we're in right now.
No, for sure. That's the nature of, us working.
Yeah.
I just looked at the notes. We didn't talk about Kathleen Kennedy.
That's right. So in the opening credits, when you're seeing that B-roll footage of New York and everything, Twin Towers and all that, you see executive producers, not executive, but actual producers. Frank Marshall, Penny Marshall's husband, very well known in Hollywood, and Kathleen Kennedy. And I saw that and I just kind of cringed
Is that Frank
a little.
Marshall or Gary Marshall?
Gary Marshall. Whichever Marshall. They're all the same family. Hollywood is full of nepotism, by the way.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Like, any fucking big star that comes out nowadays, look at their family history. 9 times out of the 10, they either came from fucking wealth or they came from family that was already established in the entertainment industry. Nepotism is everywhere in the entertainment industry. So I digress. Anyway, Kathleen Kennedy came up in the fucking credits and I just, I got so tense. I'm like, fuck.
Is it the Kathleen Kennedy though?
The Kathleen Kennedy.
Wow.
Well, because Spielberg was an executive producer in this.
That's true.
And Kathleen Kennedy has very close ties to fucking Spielberg and George Lucas.
Right.
That's how she landed the fucking job running Lucasfilm after George sold out to Disney, which in the early days was like, oh, this seems great.
Yeah.
Not so much. It didn't quite pan out as we were expecting. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And we'll save that for the next episode of All Things Star Wars.
Right.
Because Kathleen Kennedy.
I didn't want to let that go. It was part of what we were going to talk about earlier.
I put it in the notes. And
what was the trivia?
Oh yeah, so IMDb had some trivia. We'll go through this really quick and then we'll end the show.
All right.
So there's some really cool trivia moments in here, so bear with me here. A lot of stuff about the house itself, like where it is, how much it's sold for over the years. I think at the very end of production of the movie, they sold it for like $2 million, something to that effect. This was the first collaboration between Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg. There were some better ones. I should have had this queued up. Oh, yeah. So the Hells Angels bikers were real Hells Angels from a local Hells Angels chapter in New York.
Wow.
Yep.
Back when being a biker was badass and not, somebody who had a midlife crisis.
Yep. In 2016, the house sold for $6 million. The Rio de Janeiro property at the end of the movie that the dad bought from the same woman who clearly is just like some fucking con artist is actually the Vizcaya Museum and Garden in Miami, Florida. So this was something that I didn't realize. Production of this movie was delayed by several months because Shelley Long was pregnant right before this.
Oh.
She had a baby right before they started filming this movie. So you look at Shelley Long, and a couple weeks before this, she had a bun in the oven. So yeah, she was just coming off of pregnancy after this movie.
Oh, she had the glow.
Yep. If you ever want to go to this location, the real life museum, the second house, is 3251 South Miami Avenue, Coconut Grove, south of Miami, Florida. That's the address for the house at the end.
Which nobody really cares about.
Yeah. The address for the actual house is in here as well. This was the age thing I was talking about. Yeah, Tom Hanks was 29 and Shelley Long was 36 when they filmed this.
Wow.
So a 7-year age difference between the two of them. The leader of the cross-dressing group in this, Cheap Girls was the name of it.
Yeah.
He was actually a member of the band Mountain. And also White Lion. White Lion had some input into this movie.
Yeah, Scott from the Use and Abuse podcast. Actually, that was early on in the chat. Let me scroll up because he had a little. I did want to refer back to that since Use and Abuse podcast was primarily a music podcast. Now they do a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
It's a shame you can't see me scrolling through the chat as part of the show. Because I know I'm probably... Yeah, here we go. The hard rock band White Lion performs twice in this movie.
Which I would assume that they were involved in the Beethoven remix, the Ninth Symphony remix at the end.
Yeah, they were at the end. They were on stage. They were on stage when Tom Hanks goes and
that was some great dialogue, by the way.
Like, they're used to being ripped off. They're not going to know what to do.
Yeah, they're going to be confused. So that was a good moment in the movie. Kathleen Turner was actually considered for the lead role before Shelley Long in this, which I can't see that.
She's not cute enough.
Well, the house could be really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
She'd be manhanding that damn the stairs to pieces.
Yeah. So glad they went with Shelley Long.
I never got into Kelly Turner.
No. The only thing that I remember her from that I actually kind of liked her in was Peggy Sue Got Married. Did you ever see that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was really the only Kathleen Turner thing that I ever really enjoyed.
There's fucking Brownie.
Pretty good, huh?
There's amazeballs.
Yeah. So
it's so rich though. I feel like
oh yeah, no, I just gained 5 pounds eating that brownie.
Diabetic immediately.
Yeah. So the actual address for the New York house is 199 Feeks Lane, Locust Valley, New York.
Locust Valley. You like how Tom Hanks, so they're standing there and they're looking at the gardens and they say, oh, you can hire a gardener. And Tom Hanks is like, oh, no, I can handle this myself.
Mm-hmm.
And Shelley Long is like, really? Like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about some of the back and forth that was happening between them. I found that really amusing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when they buy the house and he goes into the garage and he's like, oh, I'm going to fix the stairs, and gets like this plank of wood that was obviously part of something else.
Yeah.
And is trying to hammer.
Well, because he was a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
So we're to expect that this lawyer knows how to fix all this stuff.
And Shelley Long in the movie is like, I'm not used to all this work.
Right.
She's a violinist. And you know what? Can you imagine a violinist like fucking up their hand or something like that? Doing a home renovation?
Oh yeah,
that's your livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, this is so good. I want to eat the rest of it, but I'm so full.
Fuck! I had another good one queued up here, and then you distracted me.
That's my thing. It's what I do.
Yeah, apparently.
FYI, Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy have been married since 1987.
Yeah.
So there you go. Thank you, Scott from the Use and Abuse podcast. He is our Jamie for today.
Indeed. Thank you, sir. All right. Whatever else I had, I lost it. So
He sucks.
that was some good trivia.
He sucks, folks.
You're killing it, man.
What are we talking about next week?
Well, it's the last week of the month of M.
That's right.
So we're closing it out with a bang, I think.
I think so too.
Because we're closing it out with a double M.
It is double M, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is Micro Machines.
That's right.
I was actually going to bring a teaser in for this week, but I'll wait. I'll wait until next week. Yeah, Micro Machines. Just I've already like looking through eBay and stuff like that. I haven't bought anything. But looking through eBay and coming across things, I'm like, oh my God, I had that. And, you know, I there's pieces that I forgot about that I can't wait to talk about. But, you know, obviously there's a big chunk of this that is going to be dedicated to Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Same here. And most of my Micro Machine stories have to do with Star Wars and Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to that.
We'll save that until next week. Anything else on the Money Pit before we close out?
No.
Yeah. Fun movie. If you have a chance to watch it, wait for it to come on free on some streaming service. Not really worth like paying $15 for.
No, you could rent it on Amazon for $3.99.
Yeah. It's a fun movie.
It is. Listen, if you're in the middle of a renovation or if you're talking about buying a home or something like that, just watch it.
Yeah.
Just watch it. Even if you fucking fast forward through, you know, some of the parts, like watch the first 45 minutes of it. Because that's when all the fucking fun house shit happens.
Yeah.
And you got to listen to Tom Hanks laugh.
Oh, that was the last piece of trivia. Thank you. That Tom Hanks laugh after the tub falls through the fucking floor. Apparently, they still use that on the Universal Backlot Tour at Universal Studios because this was a Universal Studios movie.
Right.
So they use that clip of that laugh at certain parts of the Universal Tour. Apparently, when I guess the tour guide makes some stupid puns, and then they play that in response.
Dude, I laughed out loud just at that laugh.
Yeah.
And the whole premise, the idea of it, getting to that point, like, yeah, that's all we can do.
Yeah,
that's all you can do is fucking laugh.
Yeah, because that was his breaking point. And then, yeah, at that point in the movie is when like they both started like just fucking like it's all gotten to them at that point, and they're just like snapping.
We didn't talk about like sleeping in like this. The woman, con woman, notwithstanding, like saying how the best moments of her relationship were spent in this fucking bed, and then
like, do you want to buy it?
Yeah, do you want to? And then like laying in the same fucking mattress. I'm like,
yeah, no.
Like it's one thing when you're in a hotel, ignorance is bliss, right? But somebody told you, hey man, we were walking around like he was running me like a wheelbarrow across this fucking bed, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna lay in it right now. Like,
yeah.
Anyway,
and then, well, she got what she deserved. So,
yeah, obviously.
All right. So, thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the audio. Next week, we are concluding the month of M with some Micro Machines.
Yes.
And yeah, that's it. Go to wherever you listen to your podcast, preferably on Apple, iTunes, whatever. Leave us a 5-star review.
Yes.
If you don't have an iPhone, you can still leave us a 5-star review. Just download the iTunes application onto your Windows computer and go in there, find From a Gen X Point of View, and leave us a review because they help.
They do. And if you're anti iTunes, and you know there's plenty of people out there that are just anti iTunes, you can also do it on Audible because the podcast is on Audible as well, and you can leave us a review on Audible.
Yes, you can.
So that is a way to do an end around iTunes. Because Spotify and iHeartRadio and Google Podcasts, they don't have review functionality.
I'm sure they will eventually, and when they do, we'll be begging for them. Yeah, we'll be sucking dick for reviews when it comes to that.
I mean, that's what we'll do.
Yeah,
we will read it.
Well, and that's
hopefully
the thing.
Not with a dick in your mouth.
Yeah, no, it's too hard. I've tried before. It's just anyway. So, yes, if you leave us a review, we will read it verbatim here on the show. No matter what you say, you can say anything. You don't even have to reference the show. You can put the fucking Emancipation Proclamation.
Wow. Yeah.
On there.
That's Takamaka Babies.
Yes, and we will read it verbatim. So, do that.
Yeah. Go and follow us at Gen X POV.
Yeah.
On the social media.
Yep.
Like support our social media director, Luna Girl.
Yep.
And like everything that she's doing because what she's doing is amazing.
Yep.
follow some of our friends, the Escape Pod guys. They do their show on YouTube on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
So
they've been doing some really good shows lately.
Yeah. And we've both been on their show at one point or another. So Don and Brady are fucking great. So go live Wednesday nights. I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern.
Normally, which is why I'm normally not in there, because I'm already getting ready for bed at that point. And
Jason goes to bed early. And yeah, follow them. They're also on all of your major, podcast outlets. As is the Use and Abuse podcast.
Yep.
You can go find those guys. Find our friend Keith Lehman. If you're on the Facebook, search for Layman's Terms. He has got a very dry wit.
Yeah.
That is very entertaining.
And he's a Jersey guy. So, you know, and it's spelled Layman.
Yep.
Layman's Terms.
He is the layman. Who am I forgetting?
Have you mentioned me? Because I'm really the most important.
Nope. But you can go to TeePublic and search for From a Gen X Point of View, and you can get to our store and buy some sweet merch.
Yeah, which I still need to do, by the way. Yeah. I haven't, because I suck.
Indeed. All of the dicks, as you've stated many times in this particular episode. So I'm going to make sure I grab that audio, as best as I can.
Yeah.
Or not.
I blame the rum.
Yeah, I would as well if I were you. Oh, Big Swede.
Oh, great timing, sir.
No,
Sweet Studios. Oh, yes. I thought you said he jumped in the chat.
No, he did not. Oh. But the Use and Abuse podcast reminded us that there is all of the Swede Studios. He's working on a big music project. So
he's always working on something.
Yeah, Gen Xers are be a part of that. He's actually doing something with another friend of the show, Helmet Fire, Dutch.
Nice.
He's working on a video thing. So
Dutch is a musical guy.
Dutch is a video guy. And Dutch does a little bit of everything. So nice. It would not surprise me, his musical inclinations as well.
I got to meet this cat.
Yeah. So yeah, look for Swede Studios, Big Swede's Excellent Adventure, Tactical Swede, all of the Sweding.
Before we close out, we have to mention Bronco Fett and the wrestling creative characters, because
I thought we did.
Maybe briefly last week, but yeah, Bronco Fett, longtime listener of ours, went into one of these recent wrestling games, did the creative character, and he created you and I. He did them great. Oh, so good. But even better is the fact that he pitted the two of us against each other.
Right.
And quite frankly, my avatar kicked the shit out of yours. So,
apparently.
I just had to bring that up because it was good stuff, fun watching, and really a very good job by Tom there.
Mm-hmm.
Though you did put the tattoos on the wrong arm, you put them on the right arm of my avatar, whereas mine are on my left. But still a good job.
I got nothing to
say. All right. And we just got word that Use and Abuse will be moving to Tuesday nights. So stay tuned for their...
Support those who support us.
Yes. Or who are friends of ours or whatnot. All right. That's it.
That's it.
We're closing it out. Thanks, everybody. We love you all. And remember, everything we told you today was true from a Gen X point of view.
Okay, now what do I click? trying to think of another one.
I thought you were trying to clear your throat.
I was
all that chocolatey goodness.
I was trying to do a Tom Hanks, and it just I can't do that dry.
All right. Oh God, I love the current weather. I think we've got 60s in the forecast for ever. Hold on, let me go back. Going to New Jersey, 10-day forecast. 64, 64, 58, 72, 75, 65. Oh, I think spring is actually here for real. It was the best day. So happy. Weather makes all of the difference. Kristen is trying to bring us more dessert. I think I got my fill, quite frankly. It was really, really good, but man, it was rich. Kristen's trying to get us more dessert, but
I cannot. I will die. I will go into a diabetic coma and die.
Yeah.
It will kill me.
Yep.
Hey, if Michelle's still there, thanks, Michelle, for popping in.
Yeah.
I said that's a old friend of mine and Kathy's.
I was gonna say I don't know who that is, but thank you.
She lives in Palmdale,
California.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
It's not that far from where I came from.
Yeah, we ironically, like, so she was friends with Kathy, and I knew her from like even pre Kathy days, like growing up in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, her husband is a chemistry professor.
Oh,
so,
where?
And I think in this community college in Palmdale or somewhere, some approximation of that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
So that's where they are now.
They're there now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we actually the last time we went out, we stayed with them when we did the Vegas thing.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we flew into Vegas and drove there, and yeah, a lot of neat stuff in Palmdale. Not my thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to see there. It's just people picked a little spot in this little valley in the desert, and like this is home. Plant our flag, and a community built there. And
yeah, here's some runways, and we're gonna do a lot of fancy flying stuff in the area.
Oh, I could see a lot of like independent flying going on there.
Yeah,
but
there's a big Lockheed Martin presence out there.
But they're in
between there and Edwards.
Yeah, they're in a good location when it comes to they're fairly close to LA. In the other direction, like you said, is Edwards, Vegas, a little bit past that.
So, yeah, LA. I think we drove from there. It took, not taking the scenic route. We got there, I think, in an hour.
Yeah,
down to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the way to the coast.
Yep.
But the scenic route was actually really pretty. You know, going up through those mountains.
Mm-hmm.
That I can't think of the name of the park. Shit.
Yeah.
It's like it has an analog. Not Delaware or something. Anyway, Michelle can correct me in the chat. AV College is where he's teaching. What is this? Mattel made Roddy Piper and Macho Man action figures in their Masters of WWE Universe line. Oh my god. There are so many good fucking toys right now. Like, thank God I don't have like I legitimately it is saving my marriage right now, the fact that I can't go and buy all the fucking cool shit that I see out there. I mean,
and even after doing this podcast, like I used to have like all of the fucking Thundercats figures. I used to have a shitload of He-Man figures. Used to have a shitload of Transformers. I'd be rebuying all of that shit right now if I had the funds.
Yeah. Oh god, looking at the Micro Machine stuff, like, because everything's accessible on eBay, and buying it individually like doesn't. Oh, that's a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there. Then at the end of it, you're like, I've spent entirely too much money.
Yeah. So
I'm deliberately not entering into that because that could get very dangerous very quickly. Yeah, there's just so much good stuff, like remaking stuff, like the Masters Universe stuff. There's a somebody posted in the Tatooine Collectors Club group. I don't know if you're in that.
Oh yeah, a lot of good shit in there.
Yeah, did you see the He-Man like Mega Block figures?
No.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, the Lego knockoff. I mean, I'm a Lego guy, so
dude, Mega Blocks fucking sucks. Yeah, my kids have a lot of Mega Blocks, and they're the worst.
Yeah, Lego is the tits. Speaking of, did I tell you that one of the pilots? He's from Ohio. He just came into the unit like within the past few months. We were talking about, and Legos came up in conversation, and apparently, like, he's getting ready to deploy, and he's going home and has the Millennium Falcon, the Lego Millennium Falcon.
Like the original?
No, to the re-release, the black re-release.
Ooh.
Yeah. So while he's on leave pre-deployment, he's going to be going home to build that. He also has the Imperial Star Destroyer of the same. Like, dude, I was like, listen, you need to fucking get all this stuff, before you get married and have kids. That way you have all this shit and you're not pining for it when you can't afford it or will get divorced if you buy it.
Yep.
So now is the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he showed me a picture of it. I was like, fuck, dude, that would be
awesome.
My God.
Yeah.
It made me want to fucking crack open that fucking TIE Pilot bust so I could put it together. But it's so pretty in the box.
I know that box is pretty nice.
Yeah, I don't want to break the seal on that.
You just need to get another one. Keep one in the box and then open that one.
Right.
I mean, how much are they going for right now?
They're like $75, $100. Yeah, no, I don't think that's happening.
Damn.
Yeah, no, that $100 can go somewhere else for sure. Someplace like the Money Pit. It could go insert directly into the walls of the house.
And that's unfortunately, that's a dragon that you'll never catch either. Like, because by the time you loop around and completely change everything in your house, you get back to the beginning. To the first thing you change is like, oh, it's time to replace that again.
Yeah,
and it's
Kathy and I've said it, or I've said it. I don't know what the reality is, but prior to me getting the job I'm in now, where I could potentially have another retirement in 20 years, once we sold the house, we're never going to buy again. The idea of like going to like a beach condo community and paying rent so that we didn't necessarily have to have all that extra overhead is really appealing.
Yeah, because I mean, really, the only, I guess, benefit at that point to buying is something to potentially give to your kids when you guys die.
Yeah, or something to cash out when you need to get put into a home.
Right.
Because that's all. Unfortunately, when you get to that age, like a lot of these boomers are going to start getting to an age when they have to go into retirement homes or try and start off-gassing stuff. That if you have to go into some sort of like retirement home where you need assisted living, they liquidate everything.
And fuck, we should have brought this up on the actual show, but that's probably where the millennials are going to shine. Once the boomers have to start selling their fucking houses and everything, that's probably when the millennials will finally get to jump in and like start scooping the shit up and
I'll tell you,
getting to buy into homes.
I like my favorite potential like home to buy would be, I'd love to live in the city. I'd love to live in Philly in like one of these restored, like where they take these warehouses and kind of convert them into like super, super nice places. Like one of the photographers I follow, Jared Poland, like he has this warehouse studio thing that they like, it's all this wood from fucking, that's 2 centuries old, and
how does wood get so hard? The wood became hard over 1,000 years ago. Anyway, in the chat, what is that from?
Anyway, I would love to have something like that. And again, bringing up John, like when he was down in Tampa looking at places after, because he sold the house that he had built, the one that was right off the back gate, and before he moved into Channel Side, we were looking at a lot of these like nobody wants to talk New York Knicks. Nobody. Not even the Knicks. A lot of these old, like in Ybor City, they had all these old warehouses and stuff that had turned into like condos and shit like that. And they were really, really cool. Just an amazing like place, like, because it's kind of like it's a mix of modern with some of the like, late 19th century type, structure, brick and everything else. Like really, really cool looking.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to start moving forward with the malls, like converting all the malls into fucking living complexes. Have you seen some of those?
I haven't. But...
How that's like a big thing. Well, it's not a big thing, but it's a thing that some people are trying. Like old malls that have gone defunct, like converting those into living spaces.
Interesting.
Like each individual store is a living space, which that sounds kind of neat.
That would be neat. It's some weird interconnecting hallways, though.
Oh, sure.
So
yeah,
but I mean, they're fucking ruggedized structures. I mean, it's all concrete and fucking iron, in those structures. I can imagine, like, if they ever tear down completely the Morristown Mall, or not the Echelon Mall, or whatever's left of it down the road.
Or the Voorhees Town Center, as it's now called.
like you start ripping down these buildings. I mean, they were built to last.
Mm-hmm.
Dufferin will be the same way. Speaking of, my in-laws, they just got their first shot.
Oh, the COVID?
Yeah, they went through that Morristown mega complex.
Really?
Yeah, they said it was fucking easy breezy.
No shit.
Yeah, they showed up. They had Kathy pre-registered them, so they showed up. Boop, scanned a barcode. Like first shot. Yep. All right, stay in this line. If they didn't have to sit there for 15 minutes, they would have been in and out in 10.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, because the base is starting to give it to dependents.
Yeah,
but
they're getting one Charlie now.
Yeah, the next time that like Kristen looked today, the next time she can get an appointment for her and Rob is fucking April, like end of April. So
I mean, it's worth registering to try and it took calling the mega site. Like Kathy called and got hold of somebody to get my in-laws on the schedule. So it's a persistence thing. I'm
just curious how they're going to handle the second shot, because you have to get that second shot within a certain amount of time. There's a prescribed amount of time that you're supposed to have in between the two shots.
Yeah.
And you're not really supposed to deviate from that too much. So like when they give somebody the first shot, do they automatically reserve that second shot for them? And
apparently.
Okay.
That's like for Kathy, when she went, because she went through like a pharmacy, like a private pharmacy, they were like, okay, here's your next shot. So, and then with the mega center, they immediately scheduled them for 4 weeks after the first one.
Bronco Fett's getting his next week.
Nice.
And Dragon Buddy got the quote. Oh, and it was over 2 million years ago. Thank you, Dragon Buddy. How does wood get so hard? The wood became hard over 2 million years ago.
We gotta do Beavis and Butthead.
I was thinking actually we do that for our 1 year anniversary.
Okay.
So at the 1 year anniversary mark for the show, we do Beavis and Butthead Do America.
When is that?
August, right?
Is it?
Well,
oh yeah, we were just coming out of the COVID.
Yeah, it was our post-COVID fucking I don't even know what you would call it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was the first week of August. So yeah, it's coming up.
Well, according to
Johnson. Oh, the single shot. Be ready to be sick for the Johnson & Johnson.
I would imagine.
The couple of people that I know have got it, that single shot, probably 8 to 10 hours later, high fever, like the chills, like the whole
because it's one shot, so they gotta do it all in one shot.
Yeah.
So August 8th is our anniversary day for the show.
What's it fall on for this year?
You're asking so many fucking
Well,
questions.
you looked at the calendar.
No, I looked at iTunes.
Oh,
because I just looked at when the thing was released. August 8th is a Sunday.
Okay,
so we can make that work.
Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead. Oh, that 70s intro where they're like smack, like the boom, boom, boom. Beavis and Butthead.
I haven't watched that in so long.
Oh,
it's Dragon Buddy's birthday. Now I'll never forget.
For August 8th. Nice.
I
like it.
Nice. 8-8. I didn't make that association until just now. 8-8. Are you downloading? Like, are you doing things?
Oh yeah. No, it's probably done.
Very good.
Yeah, which we should probably close up.
Yeah. I get home, go for a walk with the wife.
Yep.
Enjoy the last little bits of today's nice weather, which I think we're getting tomorrow as well.
All right. Question for you.
Shoot.
We're gonna do this live on the air. So somebody sent me a friend request on Facebook. Her name is Baharul Islam. She has no other friends right now, but apparently she's from Columbus, Ohio.
Oh.
And she wants to be my friend on Facebook. Seems legit, right? So should I just go ahead and accept?
I think you should accept, and make sure you, just in case, just to verify that she knows it's you, you need to give at least your full social.
Okay. Yeah.
Preferably.
Yeah.
With your address.
Right. Mother's maiden name too. That might help.
That might.
Just so she knows.
And the most current credit card you just used.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All the above. Yeah, you can't trust anybody anymore. What was I doing? I was going on my phone for something.
Oh, I have no idea. All right. I think that's about time to close this up because we got to do shit and go places and
Go places and do things.
yes, places to do, people to see.
Yeah, tomorrow, high of 66.
Oh, yeah. We did the forecast where you were out pissing.
Oh,
It's going to be great. Like the next 10 days, lowest temperature is like 58, high 58. So
this is what makes this time of year is what makes this area like worth living in. Except for the rain on Wednesday, but that's
what can you do?
April showers, but it's no, I don't know.
See, here's the thing. I'm from California,
right,
and I know all about droughts, and I have still knowing people who live in California. I know the bullshit that they're going through constantly with water. So it's a very fortunate thing, the amount of rain that we get up here, and it's nothing to complain about. I'll just say that because it could be a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, no, for sure.
Yeah. We could have like no green whatsoever and wildfires constantly. And
yeah,
all of the shit that they deal with out there. When they were at their peak for the drought, this is back 2015 time frame when California was in a really bad drought. They were paying like hundreds of dollars a month in their water bills.
Wow.
And this was after they had such strict restrictions put on them for how much water they could use. They couldn't water their fucking lawns. It was
yeah. Well, and you get that in this area too, but it's not nearly as bad. Like that's
rare too, very rare for that to happen.
I in my lifetime though, as a kid, I can remember having droughts.
Well, I remember it happening once in the early 2000s here in Jersey. There was one year in the early 2000s where it was bad. It was just like real bad drought,
brownouts.
Yeah. But one time in fucking 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, as a kid, growing up in this area, we had them. We had some in the 80s and early 90s too. But the funny thing about that brownout, so I was at school at the 7.5 for learning the 7.5 maintenance shit. While this was like the worst summer, like when having the brownouts and there's this amazing amount of heat.
Yeah.
And I was in Seattle where when it got to 83 degrees, people were freaking the fuck out.
In Seattle.
That's great. Meanwhile, at home, no power.
And it always happens when we're gone, right?
Yeah, it does.
That's the way it is for the military life. Like all the shit goes to hell when we're away.
Yep. And we didn't even bring that up with the thing. Thank God.
Yeah.
Probably best so we don't.
All right. We're out, guys. Thanks everybody who stuck with us this long. We still got 9 people in the
Sorry, no Call of Duty for me tonight. No zombies. I'm going to
be a zombie here in a little bit.
I'm going to try and get a little bit of game time in this week. I had lodge stuff all last week, so
I'm sorry, just got to stretch. Are you going to go out that door, Dave? Is that where you're going to go out, or are you going to go out this way?
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw you through the window and then go out that door.
Oh, okay. That door right there.
That one there.
That one right there.
Yep.
Look at this itch.
And it probably doesn't show up very well in the camera.
Really... Oh, you can see it right there. Oh, yeah, we need to get some triceps. Sorry. What were we talking about?
I have no idea. Mesmerized by...
There's a reason why that character in the Money Pit was my favorite character. He was an arrogant prick who looked down on everybody else. Like I said, everything I wanted to be. So, all right, guys. Have a good night.
See ya!
If I can find the thing.
Okay, now what do you click?